Live. We are
Okay.
live. Yeah. Okay. This meeting has been
Yeah.
recording. Hello, hello, and welcome everyone. And hello, sir. How are you? Where have you been yesterday?
Oh,
Yeah, it was something committed, and you
well,
were there.
yes.
So,
Yeah.
what was the reason?
Well, yes. I mean, they are optional, so I have the option to not come. I have that option.
Yes.
Just yesterday, I was on with customer support, and it's just one of those days where lots and lots of things are happening, and
Mhm.
therefore it was not viable to do. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Is Norma here? Is Norma here? She said she's going to
Okay.
come by the featured.
I like your response that you had that option and you avail. This
Yeah,
is
yeah,
this is
yeah,
again
yeah,
a practical example of sharing this free, absolutely free. Not only that, okay, we are
exactly.
not charging for anything,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
also that we are also free to do
Free of
whatever we want
obligations.
to. Yes,
Yeah,
no
yeah,
obligation, no stress for anyone and for us
exactly,
also. So
exactly,
yesterday, the absence was just because of attunement and appropriateness. It was
exactly,
appropriate to
exactly,
do some other stuff and pay attention to those
exactly,
things. And that's why
exactly.
we were not here. But yes, we missed that, and it
Yeah,
was like, our day was not complete, we were missing that. This was
yeah,
something, yes,
yeah,
because
yeah,
it's a moreness here.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
moreness here. And
yeah.
before I go and share a bit about what happened yesterday, and okay, what I was thinking and what Syl has been doing and thinking, I wanna just give a shout out to and for Susan Laurie, and Robin
Yes,
Scott, painter, are
yes.
very dear friends. They both have birthdays today. So, Sue, if you are listening to this, happy, happy, happy birthday to you. You are such a darling.
Uh,
And same Robin, happy,
yeah,
happiest
yeah,
birthday
yeah.
to both of you. I wish that you may have a blessed year and life ahead with all
Yes,
the ease and comfort and joy. This is what
yes,
we wish for each of us. This is what we do,
yes.
and we are
Yeah,
so happy that you are in this world and you are in our lives. And it's been really a good positive interaction with you guys. So happy birthday again.
yes. And I echo all of that. I echo
Yes.
all of that and confirm it. That's just a wonderful birthday wish. Sue, yes, and Robin, yes. Just good, just moreness to you. I just wish all the moreness that you could possibly wish. But you have the tools to extract and insist on extracting that moreness yourself. You have those tools. So you guys can, I know you can do that. I know you have been doing it. I know you are doing it. It's a wonderful thing, and just nice to connect, even though we don't see and hear from you often enough. Doesn't matter, we're still connected. Very
Yes. Yeah.
wonderful, beautiful wish there. And Norma is here. Yes, yes.
Hello, Norma. Hello, 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 hello. Of course, we cannot ignore or just take it for granted because you are here. You are you are a very strong pillar of support for us. At least for me, I
Yes,
can say that you are
yes.
a pillar of strength for us. For me, you are always
No,
here. You contribute. You just give us that hope always that there are people who value moreness. We have that. We have so many people, but showing up and be persistent into that. That yes,
no,
I see the value, and this is going to be on always on top of my priority. It's
yeah,
a bit rare, and this is
yes,
what you always
no,
always show with your
no,
gestures, with your presence here, and of course with your contribution. It is not of course not needed. We're just doing it as a gesture, and this is what we appreciate a lot. Thank you so much, Norma.
no, no,
It is not
no,
about just you are doing something, or it's a kind of like your obligation. Nothing.
no,
Feeling thankful because you guys gave me this understanding, this
yes,
awareness that they are people who I like to
yes,
be with them, and this is so important and valuable.
exactly,
Again, now we are
exactly.
going to ask Syl again. Okay, that was a question that where were you yesterday?
Oh,
Now I'm just going to ask you that if we just pay attention to attunement, and it was appropriate, we just missed that. But
no.
what are the implications of that? how we are going to extract value from this event, which might not, okay, it is not obvious for me. It might not obvious for others that, okay, yes, we were doing something and then, okay, yes, via attunement, we said, okay, we cannot do this today. And we didn't do that. And here we are today. But by implication, abstract point of view, abstract perspective, what was the value into not doing that other than
Wow.
mundane?
It made us realize and be aware of how important this is to us.
Yes.
No, no. It gave us that
Yes.
perspective. It gave us that perspective. Norma says grin. I love it when Norma grins. And she says, hello, not hello, hello, Beena.
Okay. Hello back, Mama.
Brilliant, brilliant. Wonderful, 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 wonderful. Wow, brilliant. So this perspective that we gained, because, we have a lot to do. Beena and I involved in a big project. And this project it's we behind in the project. So there's enough for us, not so. Therefore, because we're behind and there's so much to do in the project, we have enough to fill up every day, every minute that we can with it, right? And we enjoy doing this. So it's not like onerous, but we don't want to be in that space where we fill that up and we forget this, because this is such a joy. Must be London then. Hello. Yeah, maybe Norma, maybe. Uh, and therefore, now coming and doing this, it just reaffirms that, why we do enjoy this, and this is important to us. It's a big deal, and we do this whether we're on live or not. We're going to be doing this, yeah? And that's important to understand that Beena and I do this anyway. But the live, I don't want to say force is not the right word, but in a sense it does. It
It just provide more structure. And
correct. And
we do this
exactly,
very deliberately because when
exactly.
me and Syl, when we are discussing things
Yeah,
offline, like, okay, yes, we are on Zoom and we are doing this,
yeah,
we are not on live, we can go here and there because we know the context.
yeah,
But
yeah,
yes, we try to be on track, of course, and keep it more structured for everyone, that okay, and
yeah,
connected to
yeah,
the
yeah,
story, also always still always come back to the story, and then connect it, and then see that, okay, and share what are the implications, what are the perspectives. It is more structured. That's the only
yeah,
difference we
yeah,
have in our normal conversation and the conversation on live. This is the only difference
yeah,
I personally feel.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, I
Exactly.
was
And Norma
saying,
says encourages us to do this. And we already
yes.
encourage. Yes, it's a good word, encourage. Yes. We are encouraged to do it. But, if you don't set aside the time, you can easily say, oh, let me do other things. And then you mean to do this, but you never get there. This way, we do get there. Right. And it refreshes us and it stimulates us and it connects us to that which is important and meaningful to us and joyful. It's like deliberately loving, right? It's a good thing to do. We can forget sometimes. We get caught up in our world affairs and we forget to do things that are more and wonderful. Beena, do you
Yeah.
remember where we were on Monday?
Yes, it was task and exercise and other 11, slide 11.
Oh, that's right. I said slide 11. Well, slide 11 is not tasks and exercises, but I did say that,
Okay.
right? And it's essentially, I stopped there. I thought this is where we were, but I wasn't sure. This is
Uh-huh.
wonderful. This is
Just
wonderful.
want to add something. What
Hmm.
Syl shared, that okay, this what we get on an abstract level. I was thinking about this, that we didn't do that, and then what actually we're doing. It was like a power pause for us.
Hmm. Hmm.
Sometimes you need that. It was not like, okay, we were not starving for energy or anything, nothing, but it was just a power pause to go even more the energetic way, in
Yeah.
more not forceful. Yes, energetic is much better way
Hmm.
to say that. And this is what happened. Yesterday we were a bit like, okay, yes, in a bit lazy energy, not lowish, but it
Hmm.
was just a lazy energy, and we were busy
Hmm.
in other stuff. we were doing things, mundane things, to okay, taking care of few things, and it was good. We distracted, we disconnect from this, and now today we were eager to do that, and that eagerness must be there always. If you are losing it, take a short break, take a small break, and reevaluate the value, that okay, what actually implies there. And then your mind will, okay, no, it is important, oh, it is joyful for me, and then you will go. And if you don't, oh, okay, there's no pressure, you can quit always, no problem
Mhm.
with that. And it can be changed all the time. But for me, yesterday was like taking a pause, okay, and reevaluate, is it really necessary right now? It
Oh,
is, because
wow.
we were missing that. Maybe in future we'll say, okay, now we have some other things, and right now they are important and they are appropriate, we will
Right.
change it.
Right.
But right now, today, this is the reality, this is the perspective, this is the
Yes.
feeling
Yes.
for this life for me.
Yes. And also, we don't do this. We don't do this for the typical reasons. I've said this many, many times, and I'll keep refreshing this and saying it over and over, because it's so easy to assume motivation, at least assume the range of motivations. Well, they're likely doing it because of this and this and this and this. Well, those are the motivations that people do things for. No. In the paradigm, yes, there's a range of motivations. But when you step outside of the paradigm, there are other motivations. And this point about motivations is a huge point. Why do we do it? We don't do it for likes, for follows. We don't do it because people are attending and listening to us. We will do this if there's no one here. And we'll
Yes,
even do it live if there's no one yet. We do this if we're not live. We do the same thing. We do capital readings for the two of us. We started this project a long time ago, right? It started as a rereading project, and now it's going into other things. The reason we do this is a bunch of wonderful reasons. I'm not going to go into them all because I've done that before. But essentially, we are doing it and doing it live because by doing it live, you're putting it out into the world. That's about the shortest explanation. We are
yes.
sharing an alternative paradigm, an example of alternative paradigms. Just us doing it for no reason, no regular reason, just that alone is a reason to do it.
So is it like
Just to
taking off the responsibility that from the universe, that okay, yes, we had this responsibility that we have to share, and we shared. Yes,
exactly. Yeah, in a sense, yes, we didn't get attunement pressure to do that necessarily,
I'm
not
asking you, I'm not
wildly,
saying that okay, this
but
is
it
the
can
case, I'm
be
asking
correct.
you.
It can be,
Okay.
it can be. Yes, absolutely. That could be if you had that pressure. Yes, sometimes we do get pressure. Oh, Rena's connection dropped. Sometimes we do get pressure from the universe to share. Yes. So there's a very, very interesting and astute question from Beena there. Very powerful question. And this key reason though, it's part of the story. So I'm sharing and making not so, trying to not say so, right? That's why I say not so. Backtrack. The reason I'm sharing this and the reason I am emphasizing this sharing is to emphasize alternative motivation. When we step outside of the paradigm and we step into a different paradigm, different motivations apply. The entire story. Brilliant. Yes, Beena, come back. Welcome back, Beena. I'm still on the same point. That
Okay.
responsibility, yes, we might not feel it directly, but yes,
Yes.
sometimes yes, sometimes no. Either way, it still
Yeah.
is. In our case, this is a bonus. It's bonus
Yes.
sharing. And
It's
when
okay.
you
This
do
is the
things,
point. This is the point I want you to say that, because this
ah,
is something I have read and heard from people, that you feel that okay, oh yes, I'm just a medium and I have to share. This is a responsibility I'm getting from. Okay, the wording could be different, but mostly
no,
the crux or the meaning of this, that okay,
no, no.
I'm responsible. I am obliged to share this. And that's why I
Mm,
asked you in a
mm,
questioning way that okay, is it
yeah,
because of that, that okay, now we get
not for
rid of
me.
responsibility?
No,
No.
no,
Yes.
it's not. No, I don't feel a responsibility to do this. It's bonus. That's where I was heading. The key
Yes.
point on why we do this connects to motivation, and it now connects to this responsibility. I don't feel like I have to. No, I don't even always necessarily want to either. I simply do it because I like to do things which are bonus and extra. It gives me joy. That's it. Yeah.
Yes,
In this case, this is something that I enjoy doing. The live part is just bonus. It's a
yes,
mechanism that leverages me in many ways because, of course, when I am live, my sense of impeccability, my sense of professionalism says, well, if somebody is going to be watching this, then I'm now under a bit of pressure to be sharing in a bit more precise, accurate, cohesive, clear, lucid, elucidating way. So it leverages me to up my game of my ability to communicate. Whether or not anybody watches makes no difference whatsoever. My internal sense of impeccability leverages me to do this in a moreness way. Now I'm communicating with Beena in a way that is, a little bit more fluid, a bit more precise, a bit more cogent, condensed, clear, etc. This is good practice. So, not so. In this case, it's making us practice our skills because we are live. We have that little bit of self-applied pressure. It's just
yes.
our how we are, that we can't be sloppy about such things. Maybe in private a little bit, but in public, absolutely not. Right? It's a leveraging mechanism, in other words. It's one of the many, many reasons why we do this, but mainly we do it for no regular reason whatsoever. And the reason that we can do that is because we are motivated differently. And it's the story, the key thread throughout the whole new nobility story. And Biella is not motivated by the usual motivations. Ursula, now that she shifted, neither. Right? And it's very clear in these where we are with Ursula now, where we right where we're going to leave off, where we're talking about her motivations. And she says, I can't do that anymore. I've changed. And this is the point, right? That the typical motivations no longer apply. It's just not possible for in after doing Wave Impeccability and Mourner's project for so long for us to be doing this to get likes and approval and looking good and that, right, Beena?
Yes,
This is just
yes,
like, to boost my
it
ego
is.
and look clever and look, it's like seriously, it's unthinkable. My mind can't even comprehend doing it for this reason. I can hear the wisecrack. Yeah, with a face like that, duh, you're not going to be doing that. All right. All right. Yes, Mr. Wisecrack. Yes, I know. you know, all right, I'm teasing, but I'm kind of being a bit self-deprecating, But my point is that this is not an issue. It's not a focus. We don't care about likes. We don't care about ego. We don't care about status. None of this. It matters nothing to us. Those are so long gone in our history that it's just impossible to think of doing it to get shine, to look good. It's ridiculous. I can't even get into that spirit of it. Yeah. So we're doing this for
Okay.
different reasons. We're doing this for
Okay.
different reasons. Very
Yes.
important.
Okay. It is something that okay, I'm not completely free of like Syl. No, I'm not. It is still sometimes, yes, I want to be appropriate. I don't want to look bad. This is something like, okay, yes.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
mostly like more than
But
80%
is
now that
that
I don't
ego or is that
know.
courtesy?
No, no,
It's
it is not ego.
courtesy. It's courtesy.
Yes, okay.
So it's
And
appropriate.
yes, I don't want to, I don't think about anymore that, okay, when I'm
Yeah.
talking, when I'm sharing, when I'm on live, uh, how people are actually perceiving it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want them to
Yeah.
perceive it as I am sharing with that intent. But this
Exactly.
is something not a stress for me
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
am sharing with clear intent, with my earnestness and with my
Yeah.
elements. I'm
Yeah.
sharing these
Yeah.
things
Right.
and by doing all those things like checking all those boxes that okay my intent is clear, my conscience is clear, I know and I have trust what I'm sharing with, and I'm sharing with the purpose of sharing, not to tell anyone anything, and I'm not worried
Exactly.
about how people are going to perceive, then it's not a
Exactly.
carelessness. It is about like
Exactly.
okay yes it is this is something I was
The
keen to do and
precision.
I did my job and
Yeah.
my fun, and I'm
Yeah.
having fun right there.
Yeah.
When we
Yeah.
get rid of the with the ego or the all the shoulds, we get instant instant rewards. We don't need
Yes.
to wait for that. That's the
Yes.
first actually the benefits of getting out of those shoulds, that
Well,
you get immediate results, immediate
well,
rewards, no waiting. Your rewards are not dependent on anyone. You get by sharing. I'm having fun. That's it.
well,
I don't care. I don't need anything else. Whatever will come in a positive way will be appreciated. Of course, will be acknowledged, but it's a bonus. It's not needed. I got my, when I'm sharing right now, I'm having my time. It is fun. It is joy. And that's it. This is the reward right there. And this is
exactly.
the most important positive
Well,
aspects of
well,
getting rid of shoes.
well,
If not, even if not completely, mostly, I must be careful about my own things, because sometimes it happens.
well,
I do follow some shows. Like, okay, yes, this is not appropriate. Why? Because in that particular situation, or for that particular aspect, I never think it through to the end.
well,
Whenever we just take things like, okay, yes, okay, it's okay, that there is always a should just sleeping there, and it can wake up anytime. And so in my life, there are some aspects which I'm not like, until they will just really come on my face or in front of my face and say, okay, this is Veena, you need to now take care about this. Otherwise, they are just sleeping and I'm just letting them sleep. I'm not very
wonderful.
thoughtful. So okay, whenever it
Well,
will come,
well,
I will take care of it.
well,
Right now, I'm happy.
yes, exactly. And you touch on a deep point, Beena. Sharing for the pure joy of it. There's a quote later that comes into the book where Biella says, sharing has a sweetness and wonder all its own.
Hmm.
Sharing has a sweetness and wonder all its own, and a joy too. It's a particular joy. Now, very important. Very important. Let's look at this closely. Again, through the lens of the new nobility and in contrast to typical usual motivations. In the world around us, people do share, yes, but typically they share because there's some particular reward or benefit or bonus, or they don't, if they don't share, they're going to look bad and therefore they have to share. They prefer not to share, but they kind of forced to share, right? So sharing goes completely against every instinct of the superiority paradigm. This is like just the most ridiculous, foolish, stupid thing to do, right? You're giving away what's valuable to you. Why? There's no logic to it in the superiority paradigm, because the superiority paradigm is a profoundly short-sighted view of the world, and they lose out in the longer term because of the shorter sightedness. But it makes sense in the short term, in the short bubble, right? That's just typical selfishness. It's short sightedness, not really selfishness. If it was truly in your interest, you longer term, then it's of course selfish, right? So this selfishness is complicated. It's a bit of a square circle. It's a coexisting contradiction. Nonetheless, the short-sightedness does not allow for the joy of sharing. They don't get it. But when you get to nobility, as in the new nobles, like Biella says, sharing has a sweetness, wonder, joy, mystery, all its own. Sharing to the new nobility is a profound act. There's no particular reward in it in the usual sense, but the act of sharing itself gives them profound joy. Why? Because it is in attunement with the universe. The universe shares. We share. It's a joy in it inherently because there's a deep rightness to it, a deep goodness to sharing. Without sharing, we end up in our own little bubbles, and that's very, very, very limiting. Evolution would be severely handicapped if there was no sharing. Yeah? So we are acting as agents of the universe when we share. Agents of the universe is going to come up later in the story too. Very profound concept. Therefore, when we say we do this live for different reasons, for the pure joy of sharing is one reason. There's many reasons, but that's one reason. One reason that's not a typical, usual reason. Very, very powerful, right? Just to share. A lot of comments from Norma. She says, "Hi, Beena. Sounds good today, Beena. Can hear you well today, Beena." And Google uses hello. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. That's very interesting, Norma. Very interesting. Sharing when asked or pre-asking. Can you elaborate a bit, Norma? We share when not asked and not pre-asked. We share simply because sharing is a joy, for no other reason than sharing is like smiling. Do you need a reason to smile, Norma? Oh, I think Norma may have moved some of her comments there. I can't click love on your comments, Norma. You're depriving me of that joy. It says content no longer available. No, don't remove them, Norma. Don't leave them there, please. They matter. They matter, Norma. They matter. They matter. So please don't remove them. Yeah. You know, I love them. I love them. And I like clicking love on them too. Yeah, I can't. Yeah. Yeah, so in this point with sharing, we don't do it because we've been asked. We do it for no reason whatsoever. Right? It's like smiling. You don't need a reason to smile, do you? No, you don't. It has its own inherent joy. Sharing is like smiling. And isn't a smile a sharing? When you smile, isn't the act of smiling a sharing? Think of the intent behind your smile. Aren't you sharing your joy, your happiness? Any expression of emotion is sharing. It's a joy. It's a joy to receive sharing. Yes. I see. Yes. It is a profound, deep joy. Yes, Norma. Yes, exactly. Sharing is like smiling. Same thing. Right, Beena? Make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. You don't need a reason to smile. You don't need a reason to share. You don't need a reason to laugh. Right? All of them are inherently self-evident sensibilities. And this the new nobility deeply, deeply, deeply understand. Sharing is an inherent or a deep, it's a obvious, it's a self-evident sensibility. Very important. Very important. Self-evident sensibility. Exactly, Norma. Exactly. I don't teach, I share. Yes. Because teaching, just sometimes, if I need to communicate a very specific, like if I have to teach you how to make a listing on eBay or Facebook, right? Which we were doing with somebody earlier. Then you can think of that as teaching because I'm saying do this, do that, right? And teaching is very limited in a sense because now I'm saying, in order for me to teach you, I have to presume you don't know. Well, in this case, if you say, I don't know how to make a listing, can you teach me? You've told me you don't know, and I can accept that you don't know, and I can see that you don't know, and therefore I now can feel confident in supplying you what you don't know, because it's very specific, it's very precise. However, when it comes to overall general abstract concepts of philosophical and moreness, ethical questions, ways of living, ways of being, ways of behaving, how do I know what you need? Unless you tell me specifically, I can't presume. Even if you say to me, you know what, can you teach me to be confident? This is very difficult because there's not preciseness involved. I can share with you what is entailed in being confident. But to teach, I have to presume I know what's right for you and what's good for you. Yeah. And what's appropriate for you. That's very different to teaching a specific skill because it's not about what's good for you. It's what you need to know in order to do something. Right. So when it comes to more complicated, complex terms, teaching becomes very ethically challenging. That's why I say I don't teach because I can't presume that I know what's good and right for you. Right. Because I'm sharing ways of living, ways of being. I can't teach those. To teach those would be presumptuous and I don't care to be presumptuous. So yes, sharing is a great joy. And when I share more than what may be necessary. And that's always great. Now you can pick and choose what's right and appropriate for you. This is a very deliberate strategy that's employed. It's built into Way-of-Impeccability and in the entire mechanism of communicating and interacting and in the learning psychology of what I do. Right? I am really skilled at learning psychology. I have to say this. I have like, I don't know, doctorate plus whatever in the psychology of learning. I really understand this because my whole life has been absolutely focused on this, figuring it out, thinking it through to the end, multiple perspective shifting on it. And in the psychology of learning, of course, emphasis is critical, but not only emphasis, but also a particular types of emphasis, such as relevance and pertinence. When I share, yes, if I am sharing in a teaching way, or at least when I'm not sharing, when I'm teaching, I am deciding what is relevant and pertinent to you. I may or may not get this right. Yeah. But when I'm teaching you a specific skill, I have to say, look, this is important. This is important. This, and there you go. All right. When you list this, this has to be done. This, it's very specific and precise. But when it comes to more generalized topics, like how to live, I don't know what is relevant and pertinent to you. Therefore, I share the fullness of what's available. And then you say, that connects with me. I already know this. I don't need that. And this, I never thought of this before. Suddenly it becomes really relevant or pertinent, right? Because I never thought, it's like, this was the thing that came up yesterday and I didn't know how to, right, it's pertinent. Now it connects. And when we have those pertinence and relevance connections, what's happening inside the brain? Emphasis, right? It's particular, it's important to you, it connects to you, it's pertinent, it's relevant. Both of those emphasize emphasis. And when there's emphasis in the brain, we learn. The brain changes, literally. And when the brain changes, you are learning in a way which you can retain. And this is important. We learn sometimes, or at least we think we learn, we believe we learn by just absorbing information. That's not learning, that's absorbing information. It's like storing stuff on your hard drive. Has the stuff that you've stored on your hard drive, has it changed your computer's operating system? No, it's made not one difference to the computer's operating system. It's like you go to Windows or Apple and you download the latest update for your computer. You download it. That's it. It's sitting there on in your downloads file. You haven't opened that download and said run, apply. Yeah. If you don't click run or apply, what difference does that upload make? But in your psychology, you're thinking, I've downloaded it, I've learned. This is how people fool themselves. They collect information, they download all the stuff, and they never open it, and they think they've learned. Literally, this happens in like with books and courses. Tony Robbins once said, right, and he's like the #1 guy in self-help in terms of selling stuff and that. Or at least he used to be, and he's been around for a long time. Maybe there are others who do more than him now, but he certainly, has it's like a huge difference between him and everybody else, or most of everybody else. He said, I wrote the best-selling book that nobody read. He literally wrote a book that's a bestseller. It was a huge bestseller, #1 on the list and all that. He said, but nobody read. They discovered this with just feedback with people. They followed up and said, what did you like about the book? I haven't read it yet. Yes. Then they did a specific test and a study with a course, and they put out this course. People bought it, and then they followed up. They because they just kind of heard about this. People would say, I never read a book, and it was kind of by the way. But then when they followed up on the course, they did a specific study of it. They found that like 90% of the people who bought the course never opened it. How does that make any sense whatsoever? You bought it and now you don't want to use it. Why? Because the brain is so trained in the belief that if you acquire information, you've learned. When you've acquired data, you've learned. No, you haven't. But the brain believes it has. And this applies even to books and courses where it's like, duh, if you don't read it, how on earth are you going to get value? But no, but I've gotten it. It's an extension of that. It's a very peculiar kind of a madness, but yet it's there. So we have to understand the difference between simply downloading and actually applying, using, implementing. Yeah, you've got to click update, apply this update, and then you've got to let the update settle down. And okay, there's a few bugs, and you need the correction to the update, and so on. Right? There's a bit more to when we have these updates. Very important. We've got to apply, got to do, got to use, and you got to go over it to get familiar and comfortable. You can't just say, I've now read it once and now I know it. No. Got to apply what you read. Yes. And my point is about sharing. When we share, you get to choose pertinence and relevance. And that's very powerful. Now you get that in that pertinence and relevance, you can apply it. Oh, now you're thinking about, wow, yeah, cool. And I'll see, how am I going to use this? Yeah, I had that problem with girlfriend yesterday. All right, okay, let me see. Okay, now I can apply it. And so on and so on. Now you're going to apply it. You use it. It's only when you use do you truly learn. Any time before that, you've simply acquired information. The only time you really learn is when you use it. Yes, when you update your awareness. Also, with a book, it is easy to read it tomorrow. Precisely, Norma. Exactly. And of course, tomorrow never comes. Like later, it never ever comes. Today is the only time that's real. Yes, now. That's the only time that's real. Tomorrow never comes. I mean, later never comes. Very important. Beena, any comments? I know I made a whole long speech there,
Just
but
enjoying this. I'm just
oh,
enjoying this.
oh, you're so precious, Beena, really. You too, Norma. You're really precious, you know. Just your magic, just your ability to listen, to hear, to absorb, and to appreciate. I appreciate your ability to appreciate. Now, very cool, very cool. All right, let me go to the screen share and not to this, whatever this is here on my screen. There we go. There we go. Norma, 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 Norma. Ursula says, in response, I know we've read some of this, but I'm going to read it again. I want to just back up just a little bit here. She says, I want to be a new noble and she's thinking through to Norma. I'm calling Biella Norma. Biella's prompt when Ursula said, I want to be, and she says, and I want to be noble. Ursula shouted with realization. I want to be noble, Biella. I really, really want to be noble. That's what impressed me about you. You not just a new noble, you are noble. A big difference. That's what grabbed me. Saying I wanted to be a new noble was just a way of saying it, a way of saying I want to be noble. It would have seemed presumptuous then, or it would have felt so to me to say it so directly. It feels almost egotistical to say it now when I think about it. A moment ago, I was caught up in the purity of it. But if I think now of saying it in front of others, I'd be reluctant to, for it implies I believe I can be noble. That isn't necessarily so. I hope so, but it's by no means a foregone conclusion. I mean, how can it be? Oh, what a little speech from Ursula. What a little speech by Ursula. It is profound. It goes to the core of the innate capital H humility of those who seek this path, who enjoy this path, who love this path of learning and growing. And also this particular one of bringing nobleness into learning and growing, because the new nobility aren't just about being noble. Their core is learning and growing. Being noble is just an extension of that, just taking it to the end, right? But it's this core, this deep humility. They aspire to be noble. They don't believe they can be or will be. They believe they might, but not can, right? It's a very difference, very massive, huge, big difference to believe that you might be noble. At least you do believe that you can try to be. That you for sure believe. Like Ursula believes that she can try to be, right? And she can progress and learn and see and get closer to that. Whether she actually gets there or not doesn't matter. The journey is the destination in this case. The journey towards nobility is the destination. Meaning you don't need to get there. All you need to do is journey. Right? Doesn't matter if you never ever get there. Being on the journey is more than enough. Makes all the difference. It's a very profound point. Oh, what a speech by Ursula. What a share. Now look at Ursula here. She doesn't have to say all this, but because she's saying it out loud, and Biella's prompt, which she said, and in that particular way, it was both a question and a prompt and a cue and a stimulation and a sharing of energy and an implication. It was a whole bunch of stuff. It was a very sophisticated and from Biella. She leveraged and I call Ursula Norma now. You everybody today, Norma. You everybody. just enjoying you, Norma. Just enjoying you. In my heart, as always, in my heart. Anyway, as this sharing, look how Ursula's been prompted to share. She's saying things out loud. She's sharing with Biella. Look at the power of it. She gets to think out loud, where she might internally, like this where she says, it would have seemed presumptuous then, or it would have felt so to me. That inside our minds goes very quick, and you just sort of gloss over it, and yeah, I know it. But when you say it out loud, it's now you hearing yourself, and it gets emphasized. Wow, this is really important. And she gets to now make those fine distinctions between saying, why would I be reluctant to say it in front of others? Because of the implication that I believe I can be noble. No, I believe I might be. I believe it's possible to try. Yes, right? That isn't necessarily so. I hope so, which is the might. Yeah, I hope so. But it's by no means a foregone conclusion. I mean, how can it be? Exactly. We cannot assume that we will be or that we can be noble. We have to only assume that we can try. That's it. That's all we can do. Yes. You don't know for sure until you're there. Yeah. But we believe it's possible, not that it is. Yes. Possible, not necessarily probable. Oh, Ursula. Biella's heart swelled with love as she hugged Ursula. You have always been a noble down inside you. You just did not know how to be noble. She hooked her arm tightly into Ursula's as they walked in silence and joy up the bank to the overlook Biella had been heading for. The river breathed along by them, carrying away their unspoken whispers of intent like seeds, seeds of promise, promising in return to ensure those promises would be fulfilled. Ah, very poetic, Syl, very poetic. Well done. I'll appreciate my own writing. I enjoyed that. It was really cool. Like I'm reading it for the first time. I'm like, oh, wow, well done, dude. Well done. In the tasks and exercises, elaborate on reverence as Biella uses the concept. What all might it mean to her? And I did share that poem on reverence, which is a new nobility poem. I won't emphasize this again, except to say that reverence is a big deal. It is simply maximized or emphasized or superlative appreciation. Yes, this is what it means to her and to the new nobility. Beena, anything to add on reverence? So I
No,
don't think
no.
it's a term that's in your lexicon, in your vocabulary that you might typically use, because it's a more kind of a Christian thing because of the religion. Typically outside of religion, this concept of reverence isn't there. Yet as an
Yes.
abstract feeling without the
Yes.
actual word, you share reverence for much all the time. You were sharing reference for your sister earlier,
No. Okay.
right?
I don't mind that. Okay, even if some words have some connectivity with religion, because
Yeah.
I
Ah, it
always
doesn't
have
matter to
my
me
own
either.
association with that. I
Exactly.
don't mind using them if I like, and if it is actually projecting the real essence, the real intent behind why I'm sharing, then it's not a problem. If it is not, then of course, no matter it is connected to any religion or not, I'm not going to share it. For me, okay, it's a good addition in my vocabulary.
Ah, good, good. What is the term for reverence in Urdu? I'm not
It
asking
is
because I want to know. I'm asking because it's going to be interesting to hear how your brain connects now.
it is very actually nowadays I'm getting a bit reverence is tazim.
Tazim with a T.
Yes, with a T.
Tazim. Wow, what a nice word. Biella exuded Tazim as she walked through the grove. Wow. 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 As she graced her way through the grove. That would be a nicer way of saying it. Biella
Yeah.
exuded Tazim as she graced her way through the grove of ancient old oak trees. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ah, brilliant. Will you read the next quote there, if you can? If not, I'll read it.
No, no, I can.
Because I want to go put the kettle on. That's why.
Okay, so the whole slide you want me to read?
No, just the next quote there, the next paragraph there, right? The next task and
Okay.
exercise. Yeah. It's this.
Okay. I don't know what I'm to pay attention to specifically, so I'm paying attention to everything.
This is
Does
Ursula
this not
saying that, right?
perhaps apply always to all of us? Why?
Now, just
This is
as a
okay.
one moment before you answer, I'm keen to hear you read this in more Ursula's style, meaning that intensity of Ursula's, right? So maybe read it as Ursula would say it, like in that same way that she would say it, like you
I will
like you
try.
playing Ursula. Yeah.
Okay, I will try. I'm not very good at
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
but
I
yes.
understand. That's why I'm doing it, because starts and exercises. So there's many things to practice here. Now Beena is practicing getting inside Ursula and expressing herself as Ursula would, yes, or at least she imagines Ursula would. So it's just a fun exercise, right?
Yes. I don't know what I'm paying attention to specifically, so I'm paying attention to everything.
All right,
Does this not perhaps apply always to all of us? Why?
right. Now that's the question. That's the narrator. I think for me,
Yes.
it's like I don't know what I am to pay attention to specifically. It's a deep earnestness to Ursula, right? I don't
I
know
know,
what.
but I don't expect Ursula to be so expressive with emotions. She is
Oh, that's
very
interesting.
room
But
one.
remember, but she used to be. But remember, she's become the child again, so she's now is more expressive with her emotions.
Okay.
Yeah, because she's earnest, sober, and a child. So sometimes when you see those, like 9-year-old girls who are just like queens of the world, right? They're like your grandmother. You know what I'm talking about? Those girls, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of where Ursula is. Like when Gunsha came on, very similar. Very similar in terms of expression, enthusiasm, excitement, eagerness, emotion, but also that deep sobriety. Remember when I asked her that question, that deep thoughtfulness, right?
Yes.
That's really Ursula right now, Gunsha. So read it as Gunsha might say it. Gunsha is Beena's niece, just a wonderful angel child,
Yes.
a magical being.
I don't know what I'm to pay attention to specifically. So I'm paying attention to everything.
Right, but you see how much moreness there was. When you said, "I
Yes,
don't
because
know,"
I'm
you had
trying
it.
to
You
get
had in the
like
beginning. You
yes,
had the mood in the beginning, and then it kind of faded off a little bit. There's
yes,
an
yes.
enthusiasm and an earnestness to it, right? It's a very powerful thing. I don't know what I'm to pay attention to specifically, so I'm paying attention to everything. It's like I don't know, but I'm just going to cover it. I'm just covering my odds here. Does this not
Uh,
apply? Perhaps apply to all of us. Always apply to all of us. Why? I do feel it does. Yes.
okay. For me, it's not like I'm covering up or try to cover everything. But when we don't know that okay where to actually pay attention, everything grabs our attention. We don't pay
Exactly.
attention to anything.
Exactly.
Then it becomes
Exactly.
reverse. And
Exactly.
and things which might not be, of course, actively necessary in this moment, but still it grabs our attention and we get
Mm,
distracted.
mm,
When we don't know that okay where to go, it's like lack of clarity right there, and
mm.
then the power goes to the other side, and things start grabbing our attention instead of we put our attention. And
Yes.
for me, it's not fun thing, but it happens, of course, very
What's
often.
not fun? What's not fun, Beena? I don't understand.
Like to have this unclear intent and lack of clarity.
Mm,
It's
mm,
it's not it's not very
mm,
useful. It's
mm,
not very
mm.
productive. It's not very
Or,
impactful.
or it is useful in this that it gets us to open our attention and connect to the more.
Even this is a clarity of intent. You know that, okay, what you are doing.
No, yeah. Right, but it's in that abstract, right? We can sort of
But
bounce
in
out of it.
this,
Yeah.
when you know that, okay, yes, I need to pay attention to the abstract. Okay, then things are different. You have clarity. You have that power. But when you don't know exactly what are you doing here, what you need to pay to attention to, then it's lost thing. And then of course you lose power, and power goes to the things, and they start grabbing our attention.
Very cool, Beena. Very cool. Very cool. Very cool. All right. And it's a powerful thing to do, to say, let me pay attention to the overview, so that I can get clarity of
Yes,
intent. Yeah.
exactly.
Wonderful, 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 wonderful,
No
wonderful.
matter how abstract you can go, you can still be focused, because you have this clarity. You are choosing it deliberately.
Yes.
But when you
Yes.
don't know, then it's a
Yes.
loss of power right there. And
Yeah.
you are of course going to be played by circumstance. You are going to be played by perspectives in other situations.
Interesting choice of word too. Very interesting, Beena. And also pay attention, right, Beena? What you are
Yes.
saying here, you are using this concepts in different contexts,
Mhm.
right? So that what you're saying applies in one context, but not necessarily in another. So it's a sophisticated double usage of meaning. Yes.
I'm not getting it. Say it again.
When you were saying about, I forget the exact point that you made, like with attention,
Power.
that, well, just and the value and all of this, right? That sometimes it's valuable, and like clarity of intent. Yes. That we are focused, but when we unfocus, we get a focus. Yeah. Right. You
Okay,
understand what I mean?
what I'm saying is, okay, I understand your point. That's why I'm
Yeah.
saying that when
Yeah.
we make a deliberate choice that I am not going to focus on any specific thing, it's a
Right.
very clear intent. It's a very
Exactly.
deliberate intent. Then it's not a problem, of course. But you
Right.
don't, when you are lost, you don't know what you are going to do. Then you actually just jump from this to that, and then this is how it is going to be. Then I say that, okay, you lose your power,
Right.
because you were not being deliberately choosing that I'm going to connect to abstract and I'm open for everything.
Yeah.
Just like exactly like when we say that, okay, I am not choosing right now. This is also a
Yeah.
choice.
Yeah.
I choose to not
Exactly.
choose.
That's what
So
I meant.
this is,
You see that you were
yes,
using the thing, not choice, but it's a choice. And
yes.
so the
And
clarity
it
of
is
intent, not,
exactly
yeah,
when
yeah.
I'm saying that, okay, I have no idea right now where things are going, what is going to happen, and I'm choosing to connect with the abstract. This is my choice right there.
Exactly.
And now it's a very clear intent also.
Powerful choice. Powerful choice. So we can have the intent to get clarity of intent.
Exactly. Even this is an intent. Yes, that this is my
Exactly.
point.
Exactly. We might say, oh, you know what? I'm kind of lacking in intent. Oh, let me set the intent to get intent. That's what I meant by it's
Exactly.
contextual and the double usage of the meaning of the words, right? Just a cool way of looking at this and being aware that sometimes you may use the same words and use them with different meanings because you're applying the meaning in different contexts. And that's important. It's a very important thing to be aware of. Very, very important thing to be aware of. Very cool. Very cool indeed. Very cool indeed. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right. Will you read the next thing there, please, Beena?
Expand on Ursula's statement. Attention fostered by preoccupation is limiting, not opening, and on her concept of filtering in the overall.
Hmm.
Could we perhaps temporarily adopt their intents or agendas simply for the purpose of connecting to what we wouldn't ordinarily connect to, and to provide contrast and perspective on our usual perceptions?
Hmm.
Hmm. I want to read this again. I need
Please
more
take your
clarity.
time. Take your time. I have matters
Explore
of
Ursula's
consequence to attend
statement.
to. Go ahead. Go
Okay,
ahead.
okay. I don't know what I'm paying attention to. That okay, it's go everywhere. Attention fostered by preoccupation is limiting, not
Mm,
opening, and
mm.
on her concept of filtering in the overall. Could we perhaps temporarily adopt other intents or agendas simply for the purpose of connecting to what we wouldn't ordinarily connect to and to provide contrast and perspective on our usual perception? Yes, exactly, as you were saying before. And for me, even even like by exactly like when we say that, okay, I am choosing to not choose. So and now
Yes.
it just exactly in the same way, I have no idea what is happening, so I'm choosing to have clarity and let the clarity come to me. Again, I'm choosing it, so I'm open for that.
Yes.
I'm opening
Yes.
myself, but it's an intent right there. It's a
Mm,
clear intent, and then we can connect it to the abstract, not local, not in the very specific way. We can choose to be abstract. We can choose an
yes.
abstract intent, and as you are saying in this, could we perhaps temporarily adopt other intents or agendas? Um, Agendas, okay, they were. It was not negative for me before, but now
Yeah.
after Way-of-Impeccability, it's like, oh, it is coming with some baggage. Um,
Mm, mm.
I'm cautious of using this, but of
Yeah.
course,
Yeah. Yeah.
we
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
adopt other intents simply
Yeah.
for the
One second. One
connection
second. I just
to.
want to say thank you to Amazon. Beena, thank you, Amazon. Thank you very much. Thank you. Much appreciated, man. Much appreciated. Yeah. Haven't seen you before. Good to see you. Oh, sure. Oh, you're the first time everybody ever asked me for a signature. All right. Sorry, Beena, you can mute me. I'm on Zoom, but what I
Okay,
need to
no
do?
problem. No problem. No,
Syl, SYL. Oh, oh. All right. There you go. All right. Thanks, man. You too. You too. See you. Wow. I'm glad I came outside to help the Amazon. All right. Very good. Okay. Carry on, Beena. Carry on. Sorry.
Yes, we can, of course. And sometimes when we don't have clarity, it is actually connecting to attunement
Mm, mm.
and just say, okay, yes, right now I don't have a clarity, but I can see in the context what is appropriate, and we can adopt temporarily intent till we get clarity. Like, okay, yes, everything is good till it change. Yes,
Yeah.
and we can do better exactly like this. Of course, we can do this.
Yeah. Now, in the sentence, attention fostered by preoccupation is limiting, not opening. Think of it in
Yeah.
terms of energy.
Hmm.
When we're preoccupied, aren't we allowing our energy to be drained and consumed? It's like when you leave Facebook open, and we're doing this now, but we have Facebook, we're preoccupied with Facebook, so Facebook stays on top in the sharing and we don't read underneath, or it's on the side, going through Facebook and reading. We're preoccupied with that. My energy's there, my attention's there. It limits me from doing other things because it keeps pulling my energy away, my attention away, yes? Because it's preoccupation, not attention. It's a slight different. Yeah. Reverence is preciousness. Yes, yes, Norma. Absolutely.
Um, Attention fostered by preoccupation is limiting. Elaborate a bit more, so.
In other words, if I'm have my attention is being fostered or nurtured, or it's coming out of, right? It's a consequence of my preoccupation. If I'm preoccupied, where's my attention? Let's say I'm preoccupied with with getting or answering. No, let me see. Let me get a nice idea of a preoccupation here. That I'm preoccupied with eating.
Yes.
Because I'm hungry, my attention keeps going to eating. I'm hungry, I'm eating. What am I going to eat? What do I want to eat? I'm hungry, I need to eat. So my attention, which is now on that, whatever I'm paying attention to, I'm paying attention to eating and what I'm going to eat, and I'm going to cook it, all this stuff, all the things around food, because I'm hungry. That's attention fostered by my preoccupation with being hungry. Now, preoccupation is when this has come first and foremost. That means preoccupied, right? It's the first thing in your attention. Everything else is secondary. That's preoccupied, right? It's just going and looping and going over and over. Yes, I'm hungry, but you know what? I got other things to do. It'll just have to wait. But if I'm preoccupied, it doesn't wait. It goes to the top of the list for my attention, and therefore limits the rest of my attention because it's sucking all the energy and taking all the space. Yeah, it's literally like I were to bring up a window on top of this window that we're doing here. I can't see what's underneath because I'm preoccupied with this window that's on top. I can't see the Zoom window. I can't see the slides window. I can't see Facebook window. I can only see my food, chart, YouTube videos on cooking or whatever.
Mm.
Right? And that's why I do eat when I get hungry, because it otherwise does preoccupy me. So that's why I'm eating right now. A good example. Does this make sense, Beena? In terms of the quote, right? Attention fostered, created, generated by preoccupation is limiting.
You get this idea that it is fostered by preoccupation.
Well, think of hunger. I can set aside the hunger and wait till later, or I can get preoccupied with my hunger, which means preoccupied means I have no space for anything else. That's what the word means. Yeah. It's a bit of an odd word, because when you're saying preoccupied, it implies
No,
you are
it's not the
before.
word I am
No.
actually just thinking about. I'm just thinking that okay, this whole phrase right there, that attention being fostered
Oh.
by preoccupation.
It can say, you could say it as attention which is fostered by preoccupation. Same, right? Maybe it makes it a little bit easier. It means the same. Attention which is fostered, generated, prompted, stimulated, result of, caused by. Attention which is caused by preoccupation is a limiting attention. It's not. It's not that. Yes, you get attention from it, but because that attention goes to only the thing that you preoccupied, or predominantly to the thing you're preoccupied with, you have no attention for anything else. That's why it's limiting. It narrows your focus. Yeah.
Yes.
Makes sense now?
Yes.
All right, Norma. I will walk to the kitchen with a mobile. All right. I'm glad you're here, Norma. All good. All good. All good. I think my talk of food made Norma hungry. Yes. Wonderful. Any more, Beena?
No, not right now.
What about filtering in the overall? Is preoccupation not a particular kind of filter?
Yes.
That's why it's limiting, yes?
Right.
Unless, of course, sometimes we need to have specific concentrated focus, yes? But we can never be too focused, like when you're scuba diving. You've always got to remember where the surface is. Yes, the lion is chasing me. I need to have my attention on the lion. But if I'm only focused on the lion, I'm running away from the lion, looking over my shoulder at the lion, because that's where my attention is. See, I'm preoccupied with the lion. I don't look where I'm running. I run into a tree and lion eats me. See, when I'm running away from the lion, it's not the lion I need to be focused on. Yes, be aware of the lion, but I need to be focused on where I'm running to get away from the lion. Correct?
Yes.
See what I mean by that preoccupation being limiting. Become preoccupied with the lion and not pay attention to where you're running. And this actually very literally happens. Lion comes and chases you, and it chases you right into the other lions waiting for you, because you're preoccupied with the lion behind you. That's how they hunt. It's one of their techniques. Yeah. Yeah, it's very fascinating. When a lion chases you, run the other way. Non-obvious. What we were talking about non-obvious earlier, Beena?
Yes,
It's a great example of non-obvious, right?
yes. When you struggle in something, in learning something,
Oh.
and the more you struggle, the more you become expert on non-obvious, like literally out of logical reason problems. And then when you become in, you get into a position where you have to share things, even they get stuck there, you cover it up beforehand, you preempt, because you know that it is going to be. These are also possible. So this awareness is a big huge deal. When I was struggling to learn something, I was getting into all sort of like really illogical.
Preoccupations.
Yes, and I was getting into like, oh, it is this, it is. I was just struggling, but those things are now in my awareness that other people might be feeling this, and that they might feel stuck, and I just share them without even mentioning them, without I need to say anything. I just say, okay, do this in this way. Syl is a very I don't like to say, but he's a very what is the word for that?
Idiotic, foolish.
Pressing,
Oh,
yes. Very pressing teacher in this regard, that whenever you have something like this, you are not paying attention to, or you are just getting in flow and sharing things.
Mm.
He keep asking you even before you finish your sentence. He say, what this? What that? Where's the context? What is this? And then he just made me, okay, now it's still, of course, it's a long way to go. But uh, he is pushing me towards wherever I'm going to share anything, I will cover the context in a subtle way.
yes,
If even if a new person is coming right now, will understand something.
exactly. When we understand context, it's easy to understand the specific. When we understand the specific, the obvious, the context is not always obvious. We have to understand this. It's a very powerful thing. The specific might be very obvious and clear, but not necessarily from there. We can't necessarily go to the context. But when we have context, to go to the specific, very easy. Yeah. And then you can apply it in different contexts. You can go to the, in the same overall abstract context, you can get to different specifics. And this is an incredible skill, to be able to apply specific knowledge in a different situation, right? Because you understand that overall contextual understanding, the abstract of it. Incredibly powerful. I mean, I just can't say how important it is. Yeah. We tend to learn, or at least we've been taught not to learn, but to memorize. And what do you memorize? You memorize specifics. When you learn, you generally learn the overall, the context, the abstract, right? The general. We have to pay attention to this. True learning is when you learn that deeper underlyingness of it. Yeah, right, Beena? That's what you're talking about, yes?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Super powerful, and super important. Very powerful point. I love it. I love it. I love it. Can you call me? No, you cannot call me, scammer. All right. Now, for anybody seeing this, that's up there, right? Beena's going to say no, and then she's going to report them for being a scam and to block them. It's not that we're being
I
presumptuous
said,
or
what for?
preemptive or rude. Oh, no,
I
no,
just
no.
said,
Just say no. Just say no. But all right, you can have some fun with the
I know.
scammers.
I'm just saying, what
Yeah,
for?
yeah, yeah.
You are a scammer.
It's like, and the reason they do this is because they're going to say, yes, well, I don't know if I can trust you or not. And I want you to give me a code to prove that you're there. And, so, man, and all this is that code that they give you is a verification code for an internet phone. And that to use this internet phone, you've got to connect it to an actual real phone, right? A physical mobile. So they do this so that they can use this internet phone. Otherwise, they can't use it. And they have to get a phone and pay money for that. And there's probably more to it because that doesn't seem a great benefit because these are very persistent, these scammers. And then in some way they get benefit out of this. I don't know how exactly, and I don't really want to know how exactly. But this is, and we know this already from pattern, right? Because people that are serious, they don't, first of all, there's something we just listed a little while ago. They always do it just immediately afterwards. And we've already seen the pattern here. But we do wait. Like if somebody says, is this item still available? That could be a genuine buyer. It's possible that somebody says, can I call you? That's a genuine buyer. But it's never happened, and also doesn't happen immediately like this. Because
Okay,
people understand
Syl,
there's like no point to saying, why do you need to call me? You're texting already, you know.
yes, okay, Syl, are you
Mm,
coming here on,
yes.
okay, because I'm going to eat now.
Oh, all right. 1 second.
I feel met.
Let me just finish making my coffee. Yeah. Will you
Okay,
read the next question there while I wait for my coffee to finish pouring? Yeah,
okay.
it's almost there. It's almost there. Another
Our
minute.
agendas, they force that focus. Our agendas, they force that focus, that narrowing, that
Mm, mm,
filtering. So we end up literally seeing only that which is relevant.
yeah.
How can we use this to maximum advantage?
All right.
Is there anything else on our sharing of selective perception that comes up for you, or maybe needs more?
Yes. Now, Ursula made the comment that preoccupation is limiting to attention. And she said this is, she expressed it as a negative. It's not always a negative. If I am writing a story, I want to be preoccupied with my story to the extent that my attention gets consumed and swallowed up by the story. Then I get inside the story. Yes. And when I'm
Yes.
inside the story, now the story starts to write itself. Yes, I'm still writing it. I'm exercising judgment and thought and creativity, but it becomes a matter of obviousness, right? And relevance and pertinence and well, you know, but that character can't say something like this. That would be out of character and so on and so forth, right? Or they are acting out of character and that's just a surprise, right? And then the story starts to write you as a person also. You'll be amazed. That's a very profound philosophical deep statement that I say about this, but that we can say for another time. Nonetheless,
Mm.
here is a situation where we are deliberately seeking to be preoccupied or immersed, not necessarily preoccupied, but immersed, same thing kind of, right? And we are
Yes.
using it to our advantage. But we want to know that we're doing this. In other words, if I'm writing my story, I'm not going to be doing so while I'm walking down the busy street in New York City and get run over by cabs and stuff and buses, right? If I succeed in my immersion into the story, I'm also going to succeed in getting run over or mugged or pickpocketed or whatever, right?
Yes.
It would not be a very strategic way of going about things. So if we are if we are going to be engaging in this particular immersion, we have to be aware that it is so. And of course, always keep that connection to the surface so that we don't get lost inside that immersion, because this might not happen when I'm writing my story, although it could, but it can happen. There's a famous story, I think it's by William Goldman. And if I remember correctly, the book is called Magic. And it was kind of maybe it's not in the list of classics, but it was a big deal at the time. And the story was about the ventriloquist. And they were a shy person, right? And to start with. And like many ventriloquists, they use the dummy as a way to express themselves because they can't do it directly. Yes. However, can you see where my story is going? Because my story is about immersion and getting lost inside immersion. Right? What do you think happens
Yes.
to the magician? Right? They get lost inside the dummy, and of course they become the dummy, and they can't separate the two. Right?
Oh, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And
Okay, so
eventually,
sorry, I need to go because they are
okay,
waiting for me.
okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
Yes.
Eventually, the dummy murders the magician. All right. See you later. Yeah, just as a fun part of the story. It's really profound because the dummy, he so successfully transfers his immersion, his psychology into the dummy, that the dummy starts to to say, but what are you? You're kind of pathetic. You're using me to talk about you, and the dummy takes on its own personality, one which sees the magician as deeply negative, as not a nice person, as a crappy person, a crummy person, and it starts to really hate this one, and eventually it kills him. It's a very cool story. It's a very genius idea of how you could end up killing yourself in this way, right? And now, in our psychologies, this can happen. In that story, it's externalized, but it can happen internally too. We have self-doubt and self-recrimination and self-blame, and they develop this personality of its own, and then they start to minimize the good side of you, the nice side of you, the positive side, and they can take over and you can lose yourself. So we have to be very careful of emotion, because we have this ability to create. You see? Here's another one of these. Yep, it is. So it's also something that was just recently listed. Sometimes we get that question, or not sometimes, when people are legitimately interested, but then usually the thing's been listed for a while. And then when I say it is, then they respond, oh, are you local, or can you ship it, or they ask whatever question, right? Or they just go ahead and buy it. They just want to check, because sometimes people have things listed and they've forgotten about it and it's not available anymore. So it's just a way of checking. But now the next question be, can I call you? No, yeah, it's scammer. Yeah, it just wastes our time a bit, but what can you do? And also, it's about not assuming. Yes, I can't assume as yet that they are a scammer. I have to wait can I call you, right? Because if it's a real person, then they'll ask me questions, and they'll say, is it, are you local? Can I come by? What time are you around? You want to make a deal? Can we bargain? Whatever, stuff like that, right? Typical buy questions. There's no need to call. We're texting. There's no need to call. Sometimes somebody will say, look, I struggle with typing. Is it okay if I call you? But then they'll ask more politely and more caringly, An application of discernment. It is possible that we may end up blocking or reporting somebody who's genuine. At some point, there's a mistake. It's somebody legitimately follows this pattern. But, it's just one of those things in life where it's like, too bad, because I can't deal with this otherwise. I get too much of it. I have to find a way to deal with it quickly. Otherwise, I'd be overwhelmed. So I have to apply energy management here. Also, by the way, with me dealing with my hunger, it's not that I'm hungry. I can put off being hungry, but I can't put off dealing with my blood sugar, because what I'm doing here now requires a high degree of attention and energy for me, because I'm not just paying attention in terms of listening, just in the usual way. I'm capital H hearing, which means I'm connecting to the moreness, what's not said, what's deeper, what's the layers, what's the connections, what the implications are, what are the consequences of this, how does it connect, etc., etc. Lots of things I'm doing. And it takes a lot of energy to do this, yeah? So if I get hungry and my blood sugar starts to drop, then I'm not able to do the sharing, the discernment with the same degree of intent and intensity and fullness and thoroughness which it requires. So it's actually an energy management issue, not that I'm just being indulgent and can't wait to eat a little bit later. Yeah, I can do that, no problem. But I don't want to in this case, because I want to manage my energy. And it doesn't detract very much when Beena's here. I can do both. Our agendas, they force that focus, yes, that narrowing, exactly. Is there anything else on Ursula's sharing of selective perception that comes up for you, or maybe needs more? I think I may have shared on that already. This term, selective perception, is a very, very powerful term. It's not one I see very often. Selective perception. You just hear perception, but selective perception, this is actually what we do. When we talk about perception, we are actually generally talking about selective perception. How often or how often do you not selectively perceive? Isn't most of our perception based on some need, some want, some desire, some interest, some goal, that makes our perception then selective, right? See, it's fostered by a particular goal, agenda, and an intent. Yes, that's why people love going out into nature, because when they go out into nature and they just feel it all, like when they walk in the forest and say, I just feel the whole forest and I'm open to it all. That's non-selective perception. They're taking it all in. And that's why it's so invigorating and so wonderful and energizing, right? Very powerful. Very, very, very powerful. So we want to be masters of perception, or at least wizards. I don't like saying masters. Sorry, it's too patriarchal. I don't care for that. No, inadvertently misogynist. I don't. It's not by intent, but I don't like to follow that pattern. Why can't we say to mistress it instead of to master it? Right? I do use that in the story. Actually, I use that, but I'd rather say to wizard, because wizards are, for me, you can be a mouse and be a wizard. Yes, no matter. Anything can be a wizard. A wizard is a qualification and an accomplishment and achievement. Oh, there are more tasks and exercises. Well, this is a quote from Biella here, right? Again, when they ask for your number, you're texting already. It's like, come on, I can text call you. What's your number? Isn't that as a text that you sent me right there? I just say no. And now you'll see, I report them to Facebook to help everybody else. I'll be a good citizen. Make this full here so we can see. That's why I'm doing this, right? As a good Facebook citizen, to report the scammer. I mean, I could just block them and go on and, delete the chat. But I report it as a scam so that Facebook can follow up, tag these people, kick them off Facebook. It doesn't seem to make any difference to the number that I get, but I'm optimistic, yeah. And I'm sort of doing my civil duty. I'm also one of those people that, I'm seeing it. I'm also one of those people that that put back the shopping carts. Yeah, I don't just leave it there by my car. I don't know. It doesn't take much to be a good citizen of the world. Yeah, it doesn't take much. Yeah, all right, there we go. It was a bit confusing there. Is this the same one? It's a new one. It's like, man, come on, leave me alone, people. I wanna do my thing here. Yeah, I think these are actually bots, by the way, because if you ask them, like, oh, why do you want to call me? They don't know what to do. They get lost, Or if I say, well, you just texted me, you can just text me again. And they're like, oh, what's your number? What's your number? Yeah. We discuss others in depth, says Biella in response to Ursula's comment about camellias, but then she gets a bit hesitant. Always in such a way that if they were to hear it with their personality turned off, it would be of no concern. And this is very important. This, with our personality turned off, we get offended, not because something is untrue, but because it affects our ego. If I say something that's, well, not particularly complimentary, but it's true, shouldn't you be thankful for hearing that and happy to hear it? Okay, maybe depending on how it was said, but nonetheless, this is, wow, I didn't realize that, I don't know, whatever the thing is that you may be commenting on. Wow, that's good to know. Well, that's something I will change or work on. Yeah. So when we get offended, it's an ego issue. It's not a truth issue. It's not a learning issue. If I'm focused on truth and learning and growing, how can I possibly be offended by truth? How? If you say to me, I'm ugly and I am ugly, okay, I'm ugly. Yeah, so what? Huh? If you said to me, hey, you know what, you're purple. I'm like, all right. I know I'm not purple, but okay. Now imagine that for that particular person, where they came from, to say you purple is like the worst possible insult ever. Yeah? Means nothing to me. This is ridiculous. Yeah. Now, if somebody says to me, you know what, you just like so preposterously arrogant, you might as well say I'm purple. I know I'm not arrogant. Fine, I can see maybe that you don't see me, you don't know me, you don't hear me. You assume I'm arrogant because maybe I say things with confidence. It's not the same thing, right? Like when Ursula says, I want to be noble. Camillus hears this as arrogance because he doesn't hear the nuance where she says, yeah, but you know what? I don't assume I can be. To assume you can be, to take for granted you can be, to insist you can be, that's arrogance. Yeah. To insist you can be, that's arrogance. But he doesn't hear that because in his world, in his language, this is automatic. If somebody says, I want to be, there's that inbuilt assumption that they believe they can, right? He's not familiar with this degree of nuance and sophistication where somebody would separate those out to say, I want, but that doesn't mean to say that I believe that I can. That's a real superlative degree of sophistication and nuance there. Now, if somebody's not hearing that, they could say, oh, Ursula was really arrogant there. And if they went to Ursula and said, wow, you're really arrogant in this point of, like Camillus might say it later on, it comes in this, right? It's a very important point. And then she would say, well, she wouldn't be offended by it. So, okay, I can understand how you say that, typically. Or Biella, this would be the issue, but it's not in this case. Yeah, it's not, does not apply. And so my point is, when it comes to insults, when you think them through, they just actually a silliness, right? I thought this through when I was a kid because I had to. I was in a situation where if I was not careful, I was in a situation where I would be teased or bothered or insulted or all this stuff. Just because of the nature of my life circumstance, things outside my control could easily have been put on me. It's like, hey, you trying to make out like this has got something to do with me? No, that's what my parents did, not me. Yeah, you got a problem with them, go to them. What's it got to do with me? And then when I spelled it out like that and I wasn't offended or insulted, then those that wanted to do it simply for the purpose of putting me down and pushing me down and getting better in the superiority, it fell away, it imploded and they couldn't do it. So I made a deliberate point to be uninsultable and unoffendable. And I would bet people $10, which would be the equivalent of $1,000 today. I never had $10 then, right? But it doesn't matter. I was so confident in that I would win this bet. Nobody ever took me up on it. I said, I'll bet you $10 that you cannot insult or offend me. Nobody took me up on that. Because they can see, if you don't have that same thing, you're not worried by petty nonsense. And if the truth is the truth, you say, I accept the truth and it's the truth, fine. All right, I'm ugly. All right, so what? Yeah, that's it. It is what it is. Or I'm this tall or that tall. What difference does it make? If I'm not offended by it, by the truth, and how can you be offended by it? It's the truth. How can I be offended by it? Yeah. And if it's not true, like you say, I'm purple, how can I be offended by it's not true? Make any sense, right? All right. Sometimes we do need to pay attention to it. If people go around spreading lies about you, right? I don't have to be offended or insulted necessarily, but I do need to say, oh, I need to deal with this and remedy it and go and say, hey, stop spreading lies about me because this affects my life, right? It affects how people relate to me, connect to me, interact with me. It may affect me getting a job. You may get me into trouble, all sorts of stuff. This is a matter of strategy now, not ego. That's a simple strategy. That's a different matter. Right? And I may get annoyed from a strategic point of view to let them know that, hey, I care about this. This is serious. And because I'm showing that this really matters to me, you're going to continue doing this, and I'm going to up my response to this, and more drastic measures may follow. Right? But that's all strategy. That's all strategy. Why did you immerse yourself in not knowing? This is another question that Biella asks Ursula. Now, she knows why, but she's asking so that Ursula can express it. Ursula also knows why, but us knowing why internally is quite a different matter to us expressing that internal knowing. When we express it, we realize it. We make it real. We bring it into reality. We solidify it. We concretize it. When it's inside our brain only, I call them shadow thoughts. Yeah, and they don't really have a reality. They're flimsy. And the moment you express some of those shadow thoughts, and if they're nonsense, they hit the light, they can't exist in light. But when they're real and you bring them out, you make them real. You make them solid. And now you're hearing yourself. And it's a double emphasis. And through that, you kind of lock it in, right? You solidify it, you concretize it. Because when we speak, we tend to finish our thoughts. Inside our head, we don't. It's actually a very good habit to get into, first of all, to actually finish your verbal sentences. Really be a stickler on that. Make a point of finishing your sentences, because if you finish your sentence, you finish your thought. If you don't leave your finish your thoughts, there's this implication that it makes sense, but it doesn't necessarily. That's why people don't finish their sentences, because they realize where they're going, oh, it kind of implodes and it's going nowhere, and they stop. No, finish it, even though it doesn't make sense, and then say, that doesn't make sense. Let me restate that. Right? You get into the habit of finishing, but it trains your brain to finish it, and you don't assume that these unfinished thoughts make sense. Right? A terrible habit, terrible habit. Terrible, terrible, terrible habit. If you watch people, you'll see how they come to believe that what they said will make sense. But when they say the sentence, they don't finish it because they don't want to get to that point where they have to acknowledge that it doesn't make sense. So they're willing to just live with the square circle idea because they don't want to face the awful truth. No, finish it. Say, no, what I was going to say, what I'm saying doesn't make sense. Let me rephrase that. Then you also change it inside your brain. You update the brain, in other words. So this is another powerful magic of sharing. You get to hear yourself. You get to see what's real for you, because it's very hard to say things out loud which aren't real to you. Not if you have any kind of honesty. Yeah, but inside our brain, though, it's all fuzzy inside. It's not as clear. We can train it to be more clear, yes, but it's not so just by default. Yeah, a very big deal, right? So why did you immerse yourself in not knowing? She did this so that she would be open to everything. The moment you say, I know, you are doing a preoccupation, you're putting a filter, and therefore you won't see what you think you know. But knowing is just a belief. It's not the reality, okay? We don't know everything. Therefore, our knowing is very limited. And when we are consciously aware of this, then we say, my knowing is a limitation. It's a limitation. It's not a boon. So I have to operate as if I don't know in order to connect to more. Yes? See how that makes sense? So she said, I am going to immerse myself in not knowing so that I don't assume I know. And because I assume I know, I don't learn it. I don't see it. And also with not assuming she knows, she sees things freshly, as if she'd never seen it before, fresh, open. Now she suddenly realizes, because she's already had this happen to her quite a few times, she's come to the awareness that what she would have perceived in her old way and thought she knew, actually there's a lot more to it. Yeah. And she discovered, like with Biella. Biella's just a person, but holy moly, she's not just a person, right? If you look at her as just a person, you don't see all that depth, the smallness, the complexity, the sophistication, the nobility, the caring, the skill, all the wonderful things that Biella exhibits. But when you say, I don't know, I don't even know what a person is. See, you got to take all knowing. It's not just knowing Biella, but knowing what people are. Ursula came to realize that she thought she knew people, and on her world, she did. Right? She was expert at people. That's why she was successful in politics and successful as an author, because she knew people, but she knew those people. There are no Biellas on her world. When she came to Nobelia and she saw Biella, she realized, Holy moly, I really thought I knew people, but I don't. I have no clue, actually. The little bit that I know, yes, I'm an expert at 1 to 10, but here I've got a million. What does my expert at 1 to 10 matter in the face of a million or a billion? Nothing.
Yes.
Hello back. Hello back, Moreness-Beena.
Yes.
I hope Norma's still with us. Norma had to go to the kitchen. I think all that talk of food made Norma hungry. Yeah, all good, all good. I'm just making this point about immersing in not knowing. Yes. When you first met me, did you think you more or less understood and knew what people could be? Not that you thought you knew people, you didn't think of yourself as an expert on people, but a little bit. But I do feel that you probably thought, well, I sort of know more or less what people could be and might be and how they generally work. Yeah. And then you had to update that. Yes.
Yes.
And I try to keep this openness with everybody. You know, Beena surprises me every single time we discuss and meet and interact in a
Really?
wonderful, positive way. Oh yeah, I'm always learning stuff and great. Like, wow, that's cool, Beena. Wow, that's an extra more. Yeah. Well, I said it earlier today when we were interacting with Dushka.
Oh,
I
yes,
said,
but
cool.
I thought that it was about the interaction with Dushka.
Well, yeah, but still something that you did. Yeah.
Oh, no, this is good.
Oh
Good.
yeah,
Good
all
to
the
know.
time, all the time. You know. Your Moreness impresses me. Everybody, everybody. I mean, look at Norma when she comments. It's like, man, when I say yes, cool, I'm saying yes, cool because wow, I think that's cool. That's impressing me, right?
Yes.
Because I'm open to it. It's more. It's new. It's fantastic. It's a wonderful way to relate and share. Because if we think we know people, then we only see what we think we know.
Hmm.
Now, think of it in the reverse. Let's do it. Let's do a bit of philosophy of opposite here. Philosophy of opposite is a profound philosophy. It's not about going to the opposite exactly. It's going more or less somewhere there and then moving us around there and fine. It's about perspective shifting, in other words, but it's using opposite as a starting point. Right. In this case, let's go flip it around and say, instead of me thinking I know people, let me look at other people who think they know me.
Hmm.
Have you ever met even one single person? One. All right, maybe except me now. But have you ever have you ever met one person that truly knows you the way you know you?
No.
Exactly. 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 Now, in the same way, how arrogant would it be for me to think I know others when they sitting inside themselves and say, yeah, so, you think you know me, but actually not. Right? Now, I,
Yes.
I make a huge effort to know people. But even then, I keep that set it aside to say, yes, I make this effort. I have skills in knowing, in learning to know people. But that doesn't mean that my skills are sufficient. Yes. Why? Even if I succeed in knowing you really, really well, what happens the moment after I get to know you 100%? You change, you grow, you adapt, and you're no longer the same person.
Yes.
So it's
Yes.
a moving target. It's a moving target. Yes. And this is
Yes.
important to understand that people are not static. When I say I know a book, I read the book, I can quote the book, everything. All right, fine, I know the book. But the book doesn't change. Well, some do, like mine does.
Yes.
Right? This is important to remember that people do change. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Very good. Who's this? Tasawar. How do you say his name?
What? The server
Tasawar.
variety.
Okay.
The server
Tasawar.
variety.
Tasawar. Tasawar.
The sub.
Tasawar. Tasawar.
Yes. The server
Tas-
variety.
Tasawar. Raj. Okay. Well, I just want to know his first name. Tasawar. All right. No problem, Tasawar. All good. Excellent.
Imagination. The server means imagination.
Wow. Wow.
Yes.
Wow. And when it comes to people, this is, look at the gift from the universe here. Oh, what a wonderful gift. When it comes to people, we need to have this imagination. Yeah, to imagine that they might be more, they might be beyond what we are. Yes,
Yes.
this is absolutely crucially important. Absolutely crucially important. Actually, that his message remind me. Now, I'm glad he's coming late because he's coming to pick up an item and it's way in the corner over there, and I'm going to have to do some navigation between all sorts of obstacles to get there. It's going to be a challenge, but all right, we're up for challenge. And you know that I can get it out before he comes here. If he came at 12, like he said he would, I would have had to end the live now, or have you carry on and me go and fetch it. So very good, very good, very good. Yeah, wonderful. All right, this immersion in not knowing, it's powerful, and when it comes to knowing people, especially, it's a crucial issue. A crucial issue. I mean, I cannot emphasize enough. You know, as skilled as I am at knowing people, and I have to say I'm skilled at this. You know, like, because this is something I've literally practiced from the age 10, and I think from about age 12. I specifically had this as a deliberate intent, that I practiced every way that I could, learning how to know people. Yes. I've made a huge effort to do this. Very big effort. Very big effort. Oh, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. I just want to get my camera going here, Beena, so I can see when he comes. It's timed out or lost connection or something. Oh, come on now. In other words, we need to have humility. And this is this immersing in not knowing is the ultimate humility. Capital H humility, the humility of the new nobility. Yes.
Yes.
Oh. Oh, no wonder I wasn't typing right earlier. All right, let's try it now. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. What's the next question there, please, Beena?
Where the next question?
Do we always?
Okay. Do we always say what we really mean? What can we do to remedy this? To express ourselves to ourselves. Wow. To express ourselves to ourselves, where we connect to the fullness of what we mean and intend. Wow. Okay. This is a hard thing. Okay, it's a hard task, a difficult task.
Yeah.
Not because that you want to filter. Okay, at least I can say about myself that I want to filter and I want to um, make things nice only. I want to. This is something I choose. Also, because sometimes it's a lack of vocabulary, lack of
Mm,
precise vocabulary, which makes it like,
yes.
oh, what can I say now? And then things
Yes.
go a bit awkwardly, just burst out or something. Not even burst out. You say things which you actually don't mean. It comes out in a very awkward way.
Exactly.
This is
Exactly.
where I struggle. Also, the factor involves emotionally intense,
Now,
heightened emotions. Okay, this is okay. This is a thing I can say. When you have that heightened emotions, or your emotions are like really building up inside you, then they also limit your perspectives, and you just cling on to the easiest
now,
and the closest one, the obvious one. It also affect your vocabulary, your sharing,
now,
and then
now.
and then we keep repeating things because we don't have that energy, because our energy is being consumed by that heat, and it is burning. And then we try to get into energy efficient mode. Okay, our body, our mind gets into that. I try to save energy from other resources, other consumption. Then it becomes very difficult.
Also, as you were discussing about preoccupied, when we get preoccupied by some perspective, then it becomes also difficult.
Exactly. Exactly.
This is what I'm just saying about intense situation when there are emotions and feelings and other things involved. But even when you are not into that mode, you are completely relaxed. You are communicating, interacting with people in a very normal, casual way, but nothing intense there. Still, it's a bit a struggle to communicate yourself because again, lack of vocabulary, also lack of practice.
Interesting.
Also there is a should involved. I must communicate it like I'm an expert on it. This should also creates create troubles almost every time. When we try to act as an expert on that particular topic or perspective, then we never been able to say what we are feeling because we are trying to be something else, but we are not in that specific moment. So filtration is sometimes deliberate and most of the time not deliberate. Your things get filtered because of shoulds, because of heightened emotions, because of lack of awareness, lack of vocabulary,
What? I'm listening. What happened?
lack of precise vocabulary, lack of awareness.
Lack of conception as well.
And lack of practice. Sometimes, yes, lack of conceptions also, clarity also, but sometimes it happens that you know what you are actually doing or thinking or having perspective, but because you never actually practice it to say it out loud and communicate it and share it with other people in a way so they can understand. That's why when you get into a situation where you have to communicate it in a ways that other people can understand, then you get awkward into that. And then awkwardness cues other people that you don't have a clarity, and other people's behavior
Exactly.
and
And
body
it loops on
language
itself.
you that okay, you don't know, and then it becomes like ego thing, and then ego jumps in. Oh, these people are not getting me right. Okay,
Oh,
then the loop will start. The filtration is deliberate and also not deliberate.
oh. All right. Now, do we always say what we mean? No, of course not. Right?
No.
Does that mean now I'm going to get really nuanced on mean here. And my theme of before, where things apply in one context but not in another. This is discernment here. Right. So do we always say what we mean? No. Do we always mean what we say? Well, if you're impeccable, then yes. Look at Ursula, right? She did mean what she said, but she didn't say what she meant. When she said, I want to be a noble, Biella heard. She applied capital H, hearing there. I hear. Well, it's not just to be a noble. That's like, well, you could do it just for a number of reasons, like a status reason or ego reason or accomplishment reason or just, well, it would be cool. No, she heard the moreness there. And that's why she said, and that's not what Ursula meant. Now, just because I say Ursula did not say what she meant, doesn't mean that Ursula didn't mean and it wasn't true, in other words, that she wants to be a noble. Yes, it is true, but it's a partial truth, not the whole truth. Yes. And we have to be very, very, very exquisitely careful on not assuming that a partial truth is a whole truth. This is the essence of capital H hearing. To realize that people aren't deliberately being obfuscating or inaccurate or deceiving or no, right? Or just they don't even mean to be inaccurate or say wrong things, but what they're saying isn't the full truth, like in Ursula's case. It was perfectly true that she wants to be a noble. That's 100% true, correct?
Yes.
But just because it is 100% true doesn't make it the whole truth of what she means. Yes?
Yes.
It's true what she said, but not true what she meant. And what she meant was so much more. And we need to pay attention to this, not only with others, but with ourselves, to realize that we don't always say what we mean. As a matter of fact, we seldom say what we mean. It's one of the magics of sharing. Because when Biella encouraged that sharing with the and, because it was open, two ands, right? First was the and question mark, and then it was and ... right? So she was and
Yes.
as a question and as a prompt for elaborate, explore, share. Yeah, both very
Yes.
sophisticated. And Ursula also being this, quick on the draw here. It's not that Ursula's inherently intelligent. Ursula has just gotten into the spirit of things and she's unplugged her brain. So this becomes, in the context, it becomes obvious. It becomes obvious. And then she realizes that internally, right? She's about to say, and what? And but but Biella wouldn't say this because she already knows Biella's sophisticated. There's more. Biella acts with intent and thoughtfulness and purpose. So they say, oh, there must be a reason she's asking. So therefore, there must be more. And when she says there must be more, the brain, oh, there's an assumption of more, as a taken for granted of more, belief of more, and then you find the more. That's a very powerful thing to do, right? Now, in this of pursuing, when Ursula shared that, she now in this sharing, it came out and she became aware herself of what she meant. And this is one of the magics of sharing. They take us beyond what we think we mean to what we actually mean.
Yes.
Incredibly powerful, right? And this is how it applies in our lives. Like one way is with people, right? Do we always say what we really mean? Well, if you're impeccable and you have capital diplomacy, then pretty much yes. For the most part, we do. What can we do to remedy this, to express ourselves to ourselves, where we connect to the fullness of what we mean and intend through sharing? Now, sharing doesn't necessarily mean we have to do it to others. In our case here, we're sharing with the universe. If I'm journaling, I'm sharing with myself, or I'm sharing again to the universe. And I would recommend, if you do journal, and do it with both. Share it to yourself, share it to past self, future self, other self, possible self, maybe self, exploratory self, temporary self, and to the universe. Because in sharing to the universe, you ensure your sobriety, your sensibility, your honesty, your professionalism. You can't be sloppy and crappy when you sharing things with the universe, right? Just as a matter of respect. You're not going to do this. Yes, universe is awesome. So you're going to really share in the fullness. Now, of course, doesn't mean that you're going to always be there. But if I'm working through something with the universe, yes, and I'm thinking it out loud, I'm working through it, I'm sharing. It's by no means nice and fluid and tight and all this. It's awkward. It's this. No, I'm not sure on this. But what is 100% is my earnestness. Yeah, I don't always have to have it be 100% in a communication point of view, but it has to be 100% in an earnestness point of view. So when you are being earnest, 100% earnest with the universe, you can kind of stumble, explore, be awkward, say, no, that wasn't right, because this is the process, right? That's what your journal is for, working things out, working things through. You are being appropriate. And of course, the universe always has time for appropriateness. Yes. And when we
Yes.
share to the universe, you can be 100% appropriate. It's appropriate to be awkward. It's appropriate to say something and say, no, that didn't work. That wasn't right. But I'm testing it because if internally it sounded good inside my head, but now, no, that's not good. You try it again. Right. First draft, second draft, third draft, 10th draft, nth draft, right? Very important mechanism. Very, very powerful. Express. So sharing is share what else comes up to you in this section, which connects to you personally, intimately. Do you find Ursula realistic and probable, Beena? Do you?
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
Yes.
I find Ursula very realistic, very probable.
Yes.
Yeah, Ursula is such a big part of us. Yes, we might not have the physical aspect of Ursula, because our circumstance didn't lead us that way. But we could easily have been in that situation, yes, if our path had taken us that way. Could easily have been.
Yes.
Very, very, very cool. Very cool. Very cool. And also just, it's not just probable, but realistic. In other words, Ursula isn't a contrived character, written specifically for the purpose of the story. Somebody
Yes.
like Ursula, you can easily imagine her. We've all met Ursulas in our lives, or at least most of us have, to a varying
Yes.
degree. Now, they might not be the president of the planet. They might just have been somebody who was, ambitious and went and did, and that, okay, they were the class president or whatever, stuff like that. Or not even the class president, but they just do stuff, right? They just make an effort. You were telling me about your friend Ali. Now, Ali got a little bit
Yes.
lost in the ego side of things, the superiority part, but
Yes.
Ali had a lot of Ursula in him. Yes.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah. So we see variations of Ursula. Ursula's just what makes Ursula special is that even though she was expert at the superiority paradigm, she was never of the superiority paradigm. In other words, she wasn't corrupted by it, right? She was just good at
Yes.
using it, but it was just a tool for her. It wasn't an end in itself. When it becomes an end in itself, that's when the corruption sets in, and that's when it starts to eat you up from inside and diminishes you, not adds to you. So her expertise in the superiority paradigm added to her. It didn't distract from her because she never lost herself to it. Yes, it was just a tool. It was just a tool. She was just being skilled at that particular game, right? It was a game to her, essentially. She played it well, right? It wasn't an end in itself. This is the distinction. This is what makes Ursula particularly different. Now, I do know many people that are expert at what they do in wherever they are in their field, but they're not lost to it, yes, like some do. Yeah? And it's very important to keep that openness to more, right? There was some more. And when she saw the more, she recognized, oh my goodness, what I had was so little. This is a magical thing, that openness to more. It is what sets Ursula apart, right? Now, not that makes her unique, no, but sets her apart. And what makes her the character in the story. She could easily have been others from other delegates. Well, not any of the other delegates or potential leaders of the world. They just, diplomats, bureaucrats that were sent on a mission, right? So she is sort of unique in that they sent Ursula, but potentially there could be other potential leaders of a planet who have not had this openness to more. All right, even though they might not be completely lost in the superiority paradigm, but typically, if you're not open to more, then you tend to get immersed in what you're doing, and it starts to eat in you. And they could have come and said, oh, this is all fine and well, and well, no thanks. Well, we see this to some extent with Camillus. Yes, the difference between him and Ursula. They both on similar patterns. Now, right, Ursula's a little bit more outgoing, personality-wise, doing stuff in the public. Camillus is more in his academics and more private, smaller circle, blah, blah. But he's still, he's a respected academic, well-known. He's at the top of his field on his planet. He's like the man in academics, or one of them, right? He's up in the upper echelon of academics in his world. Everybody knows who Camillus is in academic circles, right? It's like a big deal there. But still, he's not out in public. They know him through his works, not directly necessarily. Yes, I mean, occasionally he might, I guess, give a talk or a lecture or something, but still, he's not that outgoing in that way. But still, the difference though is noticeable. Yeah, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. All right. On that magical note, any more to add, please, Beena?
Yes, this understanding of today, actually, I'm connecting more with Ursula because you
Mm,
mentioned Ali,
mm,
my friend.
mm, mm.
He was a novelist.
Yes.
He was very young, and people used to in his department they used to call him to kid because he started
It's
very early,
precocious. It's
almost
precocious, in other words.
at the age of 12 he was way ahead,
Yeah,
and
precocious. That's the word for it, right?
yes, and he was working in with bureaucracy and
really big people, power people. He was working with them. He was involved with top agencies. He was
Wow.
involved in some
Wow.
other stuff, and then he was amazing. He tried to go into
This is
Air
later
Force
on,
because
right? Not when he was 12.
yes, no, not in. But he started at the age of 12. This is what I was
Hmm.
telling.
Oh, wow.
He started in working as a professional. He
Oh,
started
wow.
working at
Oh,
the age of 12. And then
wow.
when he was in his teens still, uh, he was uh, he wasn't hired by those agencies and others
Hmm.
because he was super intelligent. When he tried to go into Air Force, they were calling him kid there. And they say that he is too intelligent and hyper for Air Force.
Oh, wow.
That
Wow.
was the reason for rejection. Nothing else.
Wow. Wow.
Too hyper,
Wow.
too intelligent.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Now,
He-
okay.
yes. So he was he was a very big, and then he was getting like he was at that time. At the time I met him, just recently, he got rid of his personal guards, but still he used to carry a weapon with him.
Bodyguards. Oh, wow.
Yes, but I saw that. Okay, yes, but why I'm sharing these because we have two characters now here. Arshla, who gave up on those ideas and things like this in a jiff. Like, okay, nope.
Hmm.
And then she was big. Ali, kind of, it was not easy for him to give up. I don't know
Yeah.
now, but at that time it was, and he was aware of it. He shared
Yeah.
with me, and he says that okay, when I had those guards, I was literally walking a feet above the ground. I was feeling that power.
Yeah.
I was keen that okay, yes, people will
Yeah.
come to me and they
Yeah.
do something
Yeah.
because I have
Yeah.
power.
And see,
And that
Ursula
power
never
actually
feels
scared
this.
him. Yes, and
Oh,
that power
good,
scared
good,
him. And he
good,
says, no, I don't
good.
want this.
Yeah, good,
And then
good.
he gave up on that. But he was not able to completely get rid of it because the status he was enjoying at that time, there was no looking back for him. He wants to get more and more and
Oh,
more. But sometimes in life, that is the limit. Okay, you can explore more, but in some other way. But he was maybe it is just my idea perspective could be totally wrong. I'm not in communication with him anymore, so I don't know what he's doing.
oh,
Maybe he's a changed person. He's a
maybe.
different person now, I
Can hope.
assume. But
We can hope. Yeah,
yes,
yeah, yeah. We always hope. We always hope. We always
but
stay
not
positive.
everybody is like Urshila.
Right.
It's
Right.
not easy.
Exactly. Exactly.
Hugely.
But that doesn't mean simply because not everybody is like Ursula, it doesn't mean that not everybody can be or that everybody can be. They can. They can. Yes. Just because
Yeah.
they aren't doesn't mean they can't. We can be like Ursula. It's the point of the story. Learn from Ursula. Learn from Camillus. Yeah, don't be a Camillus in this situation. It's not about saying that you must choose to be an aspirant. That's
Oh,
not
I
the
thought
difference
about
between
Camellias
Ursula and
actually.
Camillus, right?
He is a bit like Camellias. Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Here's the difference, right? Right. Again, the
Yes.
story isn't saying you must be like Ursula and choose to be an aspirant. Not at all. You must
Yes.
be like Ursula if you want to be an aspirant. Be able to choose it. Camillus has said he wants to, but he can't. Huh? This is a horrible thing. He wants to. What Ursula's doing, he applauds. He says, I should do this too. But yet he
Yeah.
doesn't. He says it out loud, actually. It fascinated me. And that comes from this is real dialogue, keep in mind. Yes.
Yes.
Camillus's dialogue is not dialogue invented by me. It's placed into this context by me, yes. But the thinking, the psychology behind it is absolutely 100% real. That was my friend at the time saying this. Yes, he didn't want to immerse and get involved and, learn from me and all of this stuff, right?
Yes.
I was representing Biella in that instance there. Not that I am Biella. Biella's much more than me. I wish to be Biella, yes. But nonetheless, see, of course, Camillus is also saying things that's stretching him, although it is him too. Yeah. And of course, I'm saying things through Biella, which are me too. But Biella is definitely an extension of me, although Camillus is not really extended that much, a little bit maybe later, but not now, right? There's a very real dialogue from Camillus, in other words. And it's very important to be aware that people can want something very deeply even, and yet not be able to actually actualize it, to step outside themselves and grasp it. That's what Ursula did. She had this shell and she just stepped out of that shell and left it behind. Camillus cannot do that, does not want to do that either, right? I mean, he wants to, but he doesn't want to. It's horrible. It's horrible. So now he's going to live in conflict. And we're going to see this conflict. We're already starting to see it, right? Which is, it's making him shaky, So it's a deep lesson here. And both this, now Ursula is a created character, but also, of course, like any good writer, you draw on life experience. The why I wrote Ursula particularly is because I've known too many Camilluses. Not only Camilluses, but I've known Ursulas who didn't make that choice. Yeah.
Wow.
They could have. They weren't quite like Camillus for different reasons. They just like, whatever, and moved on. And wasted it, right? They didn't have that, or like they saw the more, but couldn't act on it. And that, I guess they like more like Camillus then. But still, they had more Ursula type personality and thing. And it was so close, so close, so close that they could have, it just took that one little extra step of bravery, to step outside yourself. And they couldn't do it, sadly. And they just, the loss and the waste. And it really affected their lives in a very profound way, and not particularly positively either.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, again, see, now also, like I said, I've known many to not do what Ursula did when they had the opportunity. And I've known plenty Camilluses, including this actual Camillus, right? I mean, he's a real person. His name's not Camillus, and it does different circumstances, but still, the psychology is very similar. But I've also known Ursulas. I know one, and Anne Ursula very, 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 very well.
Wow.
Yeah. You know her very well too, Beena. You know better than me.
Yeah.
Beena's beautiful modesty.
Share is not.
I'm talking about you.
I was not in that position. No, but
You were in a position where Moreness came to you and you saw it and you recognized it and you grabbed it with both hands, just like
oh, yeah.
Ursula is. And
Okay,
you
in
started
this
as a
in this
yeah.
regard, yes. Okay, yes. In this regard,
Well,
yes.
I'm talking about
Yes.
where you see, you want,
Oh, yeah.
you
Yes.
recognize.
Okay, now,
Yeah.
yes. Oh,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is something I can say
This
that
is
very, very
exactly,
open.
you
So I
can
always
relate
acknowledge.
to Ursula. And also, you did start fresh from a child, not quite as Ursula went there directly. And you went there, but it took a little bit of doing to get there. Yes, I've made it seem easy with Ursula, because Ursula did make it easy for herself, right?
Yes.
It could have been a bit more difficult. Likely, if Camillus had said, "Okay, let's go with this," he would have had that same bit of reluctance and step, and but the and but not so fluid, and then more. Right? That likely would have been the pattern. But nonetheless, you still did it. You still did it, and it's a profound thing, Beena. It's a profound thing.
Oh, yeah.
Hello, Norma. Norma's back again. What did you eat, Norma? What did you eat? What did you eat? Let's hear. Let's hear. Let's see if we can guess what Norma had. Salad, I'll guess. And well,
Like
she was kind of long. She was kind of an hour. So I was going to say toast, but if she had toast and baked beans maybe on it, and that would have been quicker. So I'm guessing maybe pasta. How about that? What do you think? What do you think Norma ate?
I think that okay, that must be something, some fruits involved into that. I don't know why, but maybe some
Yeah,
fruits.
remember Norma's vegan, right? So
Oh yeah, okay, so fruits
yeah,
can be, of course.
yeah. But I mean, I still though it's something vegan that likely if she went to eat this time, I don't know, maybe she didn't go to eat.
Porridge.
Porridge. No, it's nighttime by her. I doubt if she
Oh,
had.
okay.
Oh, she didn't go to eat. Had to catch up with someone on another channel talking on all the banks. All right. Oh, good. I'm glad you're
Oh,
back, Norma. It just because we're just in time to say goodbye. And I do
yes.
like to say goodbye. So that's not so. I do like
Yes.
to say goodbye. There's no so involved, just next sentence. I do like
Yes.
to say goodbye. And on that note, we will say goodbye. There's no more to
Yes.
add, except that Beena has much Ursula in her. Not all, but much. Yes.
Yes. Yes. In this regard,
Oh,
that yes, I grabbed this opportunity, and when I
wow.
saw that value, it's like duh. When you
Yeah,
see there's that okay, yes, there is something involved there. Um, it becomes easier. It becomes easier.
yeah,
Not the path, not the journey itself, but the
yeah,
decision becomes easier. It get easier very quickly
yeah,
if you just
yeah.
try to do some maths and then say okay, what's involved there, then the
Yes,
decision is easy. It's like duh. And
yes,
I
yes.
always say that okay, it's really it's disrespectful to not embrace, grasp, acknowledge the opportunity universe is providing you. It is
Yes,
disrespectful.
exactly. It is the height of utter disrespectful foolishness and self-injury to not grasp the gifts from the universe. It's the worst thing we can do. It's
Yes,
the
and I'm not
absolute
like that.
worst thing we can do. I
I
want to emphasize this. When the universe sends you a gift, please make sure to open it. Please make sure to open it. This is absolutely critically important. It's a huge, big deal there. Just by the way, Norma did say she had vegan pie and horoccoli.
what is?
Horoccoli. Horoccoli. Well, all right. Oh, look what a gift Norma says.
Yes.
Yes, Norma, I'm going to read what you say, but I'm going to read it from me. Yes, Norma, you are my gift. Precisely. You came to me as a gift from the universe, the same way Beena has come to me as a gift from the universe. And
So
it's a
yes, it was.
precious gift which I make every effort to unwrap and enjoy and immerse in and pay respect to and honor. Yes, every single day. You are gifts from the universe to me. Yeah,
Oh
a
yes. Oh yes.
massive big
That's
deal. A massive big deal. Yes, Norma.
so.
Yes.
And
I don't
then
mean to
I
make.
ate
Yeah.
we call it chicken makhni. It's like chicken, boneless chicken,
Oh,
uh, with some capsicum and some julienne carrot
wait a
and some
second.
cream. Yes, some cream.
Boneless. Yeah.
Boneless. This is
Boneless chicken? You mean they like slither around like snakes? Boneless? Trying to picture a boneless chicken. Somebody, too literal mindset, like when aliens come and they hear
Yeah.
everything literally. And, and because the aliens don't ask, they just take what you say literally. Well, it's a boneless chicken. Okay. Well, it's just like this flat chicken that moves around. Okay. Or like an
Oh,
amoeba type of a thing, like a blob.
you reminded me of Sher Khan. Sher Khan was our house help uh,
All right.
in our childhood,
Ah,
and
just
he's
note here, right? Beena actually had somebody who was part. Now, when she says a house help, this is somebody who's basically part of the family. Yes, they do and they work, but she's not only is he doing work around the house, but also is part of Beena's education. He teaches her how to cook and clean and all the stuff, right? And his name is Sher Khan, like in Mowgli.
yes,
Too fantastic. Did he have these big eyes and did he speak
No,
slowly and say,
no,
well,
no,
Beena?
he is. Oh, he is. I always call him that. Okay, oh, here he come, and he starts speaking with all these stereo sound effects,
Oh.
super fast
Oh, he
because
talks
he
quickly, the opposite of Shere Khan. Oh,
oh,
interesting.
totally opposite of it.
Wow.
Because okay, he was like southern from America. He was
Ah,
from a tribal area, but
ah,
he
ah,
grew he grew up with the subcontinent, very cultured
ah, ah.
Delhi woman in my granny's family. So he
Oh,
was
wow, wow.
partially an Indian woman and partially a tribal man.
Wow, wow,
It's a
wow. Now,
mixture.
now, now, Beena, pause right there. Just pause. I want to interject on Norma's comment. Norma says he might be listening. What we said earlier when Biella said to Ursula about talking about others, Beena is talking about Shere Khan. And if
Oh
he's to
yes,
listen, it's no problem.
no
Shere Khan
problem,
can
no
hear this.
problem, no
No
problem, no
problem at
problem.
all. Right? So
He
we
can
always
come,
speak in that
he
sort of way.
can scold
Exactly.
me, and he can say that, okay, oh, what you are talking about, I never did like this. Okay, it's your assumption and you know that. He can say that
Right. Right. But you
always,
mean
always.
what you say, and you're happy to say
Yeah,
you're not
oh
being
yes, oh
mean or
yes.
nasty or the.
I,
Anyway, carry on, carry on. You were
I'm
saying about him
because
being
he
like
was
a Delhi
playing with.
woman.
Oh, he was playing with us actually. He
Hmm.
says, just tell me a name of an animal which has no bones at all.
A Shere Khan.
Any animal. Okay. And we all were, my cousins and everyone was trying to figure out, like, okay, because he asked a question and everybody was like, okay,
Hmm.
yes, okay, what it could be, what it could be, and we were trying. And then actually the boys of the family, they gave every single name they ever know about animal. Okay, they just
And they got them
mentioned
all
every
wrong.
animal. Okay, nope, that was the tone. Sheikh Khan had, nope, nope. And we were
Yeah.
so all
Yeah.
irritated and tired, and he was like, nope, no. And
Yeah.
then ultimately, we literally begged
Yeah.
him that, okay, come on, Shere Khan, just tell us what
Yeah.
is the animal. And
Yeah.
after so many requests, he finally says frog. Says frog,
Yeah.
yeah. And then he says, don't you guys see how it jumps all around
Yeah.
without having bone? No one can do this. That
Yeah.
was his
Yeah.
his understanding, and we all were
Yeah.
literally
Yeah.
pulling our
Yeah.
hair, like, come on, Shere Khan, like
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is. And he actually literally wasted an hour. And it was the tone
Wonderful.
that was like always. It was hilarious. Like, nope, whatever you say, nope.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, that's wonderful. Of course, there's, jellyfish, octopi, things like that.
No,
Now,
no, nothing
no.
qualifies for that. Only frogs.
Oh, really?
Because, oh, yeah, this
Oh,
is this is what his answer was.
because I was about to say, I don't think an octopus is technically boneless, but I do think a jellyfish is. Because I
Oh
think
yes,
in
but
the jaw of the
you can.
jellyfish, they have a very powerful jaw, and that they eat and crunch things with. I mean, they can give you a nasty bite, and they need bone for that. Um, derogatory. I was saying she's not going to be derogatory in any way
Oh
to
no,
Shere
I
Khan.
cannot be.
Not
He is
possible.
still
She loves him
is
dearly.
like
Yeah,
any other elder in the family.
yeah,
Is like that. So if I cannot be
yeah,
disrespectful
yeah.
towards him, he was also part of my childhood, and he taught me
Yes,
how to keep my
yes,
things tidy, and how to
yes.
do the basic cooking, and also that
Yeah.
he's very protective. He still come, and whenever he has some problem, and he come and he asks me, okay, now just sit down and write down all my things and do the maths for me, these type of things. So I cannot be
Wow.
disrespectful, and that was just the way
Exactly.
he was. This is the
Exactly.
way he was. He was a perfect combo of an typical Indian woman and tribal man.
Wow. 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 Wow, wonderful. Yes, what you're saying now, all of it is deeply complimentary. And it's just true and honest. Even if you might be saying something like, well, he had this bad habit of doing this. It's something that, you might not say to him
I,
because you love him and
mm,
respect him. But if you were to
no,
hear it, he couldn't take
I'm a
offense.
big
He couldn't
mouth.
take offense.
I'm a big mouth. I do say things whenever it is, but he will say that, okay, yes, I was doing this because of this. You cannot argue and win with him. No.
he had a reason for everything, in other words. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then
Uh-huh.
you need to either you have to go out of your house until he finish with this thing, or you have to just listen and increase your patience level,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because
Um,
no, you cannot argue with him.
yeah.
No, you will not win.
Norma, oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry, Beena. Sorry, I'm
No, no, no.
interrupting. Sorry. Yeah.
This is it.
He's just a wonderful person in your life, in other words. Very wonderful
Oh yes.
person. Yeah.
Oh yes.
Norma says, does Beena sing? She has a lovely voice. And Norma, if ever you want to hear sweet innocence, hear it. Listen to Beena singing.
I just sing like whatever.
Yeah, but it's
Nobody is
that's when I hear Beena singing. That's what I hear. I hear sweet innocence. Her sweet innocence comes out when she
okay.
sings. It's a
Okay.
beautiful thing. It's really beautiful.
I used to sing, Norma. I used to sing in my all my school programs. I used to sing, and
Oh,
till my high school. This is what I was doing, and then I got like distracted. It was a complete. Then I started reading religion, and I started reading some other stuff, and then I was like not actually connected with it anymore. And now I cannot
mm,
sing the way I used to before. This is what I was sharing with yesterday with Amy, and I said there is one thing which I never ever tried actually, but if I could have an appropriate environment, I would be a drummer. This is something
wow.
is very, and then she was surprised and she says, yes, I can understand, because you always had this thing that you always say that, oh, every child must have a drum set, like. And I
Mm,
was saying, like, okay, from where in our family this thing came? I don't know from where, but this is something I feel that it is a very innate thing to me. I would love
mm.
to, because whenever I see a good drummer, I literally have goosebumps. Like when a child is playing something, I'm like, oh my God, oh my God. And I have two drummers, amazing drummers in my life, two
Ah,
friends of mine. Alan, amazing drummer,
yeah,
amazing drummer. And Syl is also, I never
yeah,
actually get a chance to see him
yeah,
in
yeah,
this, but I know that the way he is, he cannot be
yeah.
a bad drummer at all. He
And
cannot
this
be
is this is
ordinary.
drums with sticks, not hand drumming. Drum. I mean,
Yes,
I
absolutely.
can play hand drums too, but back then this was
Oh
when I
yes,
was
like
in
what they
junior
call it,
school.
Congo or something.
Yeah, well, hand drumming and stick drumming. That's the difference.
No,
Yeah.
the strict drumming, the strict drum.
No, Congos are hand drumming. Stick drumming is
Yes,
just
yes,
on a just percussion. They
yes,
just call it
yes.
percussion
So
generally.
I am more into strict drumming.
Percussion
Yes,
drumming. Yeah.
yes,
Very interesting. Very
yes.
interesting. Yeah. Because
So
percussion can be things like xylophone, and even a triangle is
uh,
technically percussion, cymbals, in an orchestra. But
yes,
percussion drumming is drumming with sticks typically, rather than hand
yes,
drumming. Yeah.
yes.
I mean,
This
it's
is some.
technically percussion, I guess, but yeah,
I
anyway.
cannot sing the way I used to, Norma. I was
Uh,
very famous because of my singing in my school time.
wow. Wow. I didn't know
Yes.
that, Beena. I didn't know that. Wow. I
But
know things.
every
Yeah, I learn
program,
and discover things from Beena all the time.
every program of my school, Beena is there. That's it.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, but that's with the drumming too. Your program is like the end of the year thing, right? When you have the big and everybody gets
Yes,
the
yes,
awards and yeah, yeah, yeah. What did
yes.
we call it?
And
We didn't call it
some
program, called it end of year. And it was
it's
like
a
a whole
related.
big thing, and you sit and wait, and then you get the
Yes,
people who come
and
first get prizes, and
okay.
a
Also,
big thing.
when like you guys have on Christmas, you guys have choir. Uh, this is
Oh,
also
carols, you
in.
mean? Like
Oh yes, okay, yes, okay. We also have that yearly on the
when?
birthday of Muhammad on in this
Oh,
according to
interesting.
the calendar, and I used to do that too.
You mean go out to sing at people's doors, like outside their
No,
houses?
no, 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 no,
Oh,
no. In my
oh, oh,
school, another
oh,
okay,
oh,
it's a
oh.
whole program said.
I was going to say, I can't imagine you doing caroling in your neighborhood there in the apartments and stuff. That would be a
And
bit
then
odd.
there must be some other term for that.
Because I never heard this carol before.
Yeah, well, in when you go
Like in
caroling,
churches, they have singing,
yeah,
religious
that's
singing.
singing hymns and stuff. Yeah, but
Oh yes,
caroling is a
hymns.
very
Yes.
specific thing. That when
No, no,
you caroling
never.
is when you go outside somebody's house and you sing outside their door, and just for the purpose of amusement and enjoying them, spreading goodwill and cheer. And that typically only
No.
happens in Christmas, because that's the only time people will tolerate it. But all right.
No, 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 no. It is not like that.
Well,
But
because
yes,
I mean, yes, I enjoy that music at Christmas time, but I don't want to be hearing it all year round. Thank you very much.
now my throat is not in that
No,
capacity
no,
anymore.
yeah. Well, it's just
Only
it's just out of
practice.
practice. Let's not say it
Yes.
doesn't have the capacity. It's just out of practice. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. All right. Well, we better go. We better go. I've
Yes.
got to get that
Yes.
fellow's coming, and I got to go and extract that package and all sorts of things to be done.
Yes. And I need
That's,
to ask you something because Dushka will come. And
Oh, good. Okay. All right. So I'm going to end and then come right back.
okay.
Norma Magicalness, goodbye. Au revoir. And au revoir is a very particular goodbye. It's not a goodbye. Au revoir
Oh, okay.
means until we meet again.
Wow, this is
And
beautiful.
Norma was a drummer too. They used to hide drums from me, Norma says. Wow, wow. You do, you
Wow.
do. And Norma says she used to sing also. And yes, Norma, you do have much in common. Absolutely. You have
Oh, yes,
huge,
this is
right. You have huge, large, beautiful, precious, absolutely to be treasured angel hearts.
oh, yes,
Yes, yes.
it's so beautiful, Norma. Nice to meet
Yeah,
you. Nice to meet
yes,
you, Bella.
yes, yes. Too wonderful, too wonderful. All right, all right. We're going to
Yes.
end
Okay.
meeting now,
Bye for
and we'll
now.
see you tomorrow. End meeting for
Yes. Bye
all.
for now.
Yes, bye-bye, bye-bye. End meeting for all.